Hello friends, you are listening to Audiobook Guy and today I am here with a new book known The Magic of the Lost Temple by renowned writer Sudha Murthy. Chapter 1 The Family. Noni was a 12-year-old tomboy who loved all forms of physical activities, whether it was walking, climbing, jumping or hiking. She was a foodie but wasn't interested in cooking. She was not fond of TV or cartoon either. Sometimes she watched TV or cartoons, but only when her parents told her. She didn't like surfing internet or playing computer games. If she couldn't be outdoors, she preferred to read. Unlike most other girls, she didn't care about the clothes she wore or the way she looked. Her father, Mr. Shaker, bought her dresses, skirts, hairbands, and girly accessories, but Nooni usually preferred wearing a t-shirt and leggings. When she was younger, she had long and curly hairs like her mother, and her mother used to insist her on plaiting it every day. But as she grew older, she opted to cut it so that it fell to her shoulders, much to disappointment of her mother. Nooni loved to tie the colored bows at the end of the two plaits. There was nothing Usha could do to change her mind. Once Nooni decided to do something, she couldn't stop nothing could stop her. Now, Nooni's real name was Anushka, but everyone called her Nooni. It was easy to spell and Nooni liked it. Today was a big day for her. She was a 7th grade student of CBSE medium English school called Kendriya Vidyalaya in Bangalore and was about to get her yearly report. As soon as the teacher handed her the report card, Nooni closed her eyes and prayed to the god in a last minute attempt to bribe him and give in into a good rank. While she didn't care much for how she was placed in the class, she knew that her father was very sensitive about it and she wanted to make him happy. With hesitation, she finally opened her eyes and turned to the first page of her report card. Her eyes searched impatiently to see her rank in the class. Finally, she saw a two-digit number, 10. She had ranked 10th in her class. Oh, Dad is going to be disappointed today. Absent-mindedly, Nooni looked up and saw her friend Ramya jumping with joy. Immediately, she knew that Ramya had come first. She smiled. She was happy for her friend and got up to congratulate her. Soon, she was surrounded by her friends. Everybody was either talking about their rankings or their plan of the 10-week summer holiday. Some were going to attend swimming classes, some were going to take courses in art, music, and dance. But Nooni's parents had other plans. It was time to board the school bus. Nooni said goodbye to everyone and began thinking of about her summer plans as the bus began the journey home. After a few days, she and her parents were going to leave Bangalore and head to a holiday resort in Coorg. This was their ritual every summer. Nooni's mother took a 10-day vacation from her work job as a bank officer, and her father, a doctor and a physician, adjusted his schedule so that he could get away too. It was a hard task for him to take off from the hospital because in the increase in the patient load during summer season. The three of them always went to a resort in which they booked at least 6 months in advance. On their prior trips, they had visited Kodaikanal, Ooty, Yerkaud, Nainital and Manali and among others. The places may have been different but the routine was exactly the same. They would check into the resort and buy a few things from the market nearby so that Usha could make them some breakfast, or if she didn't feel like cooking, they would eat in a restaurant. After a sumptuous meal, the three of them would go out for a nature walk and her father, who would love photography, would take pictures of everything they saw. If the resort had the swimming pool, Nooni and her father would swim and laze on the pool chairs for the entire day. Occasionally, other family friends also accompanied them on the trip. Before returning to the Bangalore, Usha and Nooni would buy souvenirs for their friends. Nooni had mixed feeling towards such a routine. She didn't really love it, but she didn't wanted to miss it either. After they came back from the Coorg, Nooni was going to join a summer camp where she would learn yoga, painting, swimming, and pottery for a few weeks. By the time when the camp was over, school would reopen. Nooni would have liked to do something different and new, but she couldn't think of something either. Her mind wandered to her mother's parent who lived in the Indore. The city was a furnace in the summer and her family did not like going there. However, her maternal grandparents usually came to Bangalore in the winter and spent at least 10 days with them. Sometimes Usha took Nooni for a week to Indore during the Diwali holidays, but Nooni never felt comfortable there. Nooni, though her family spoke Kannada at home, the main language spoken by the people in Indore was Hindi. Moreover, it was a little different from the Hindi she studied in the school. Maybe that's why she didn't have any friends there. Dr. Shekhar practiced in a nursing home. He was a farmer. He was the son of a farmer and belonged to a small village called Somanahali, which was located at the banks of the river Varda. Dr. Shekhar's parents still lived in the village. Every year during Ganesha festival, Nooni and her parents would make a 4-hour trip to the Somanahali by car and stay there for a few days. Dr. Shekhar felt very uncomfortable in the village and always wanted to come back to the Bangalore as quickly as possible. Usha, on the other hand, didn't mind spending time there. Nooni liked Somanahali. It had huge fields, a sparse forest and big hills. She loved going with her parents to the grandfather to the fields every morning. There were plenty of vegetables and fruits for her to see, like rice, paddy, banana. At home, in her grandparents' house, she was fascinated by the cows in the cowshed. Still busy with her thoughts, Nooni realized just in time that the bus had reached her stop. Nooni hurriedly got off and walked home. Her family lived on the fourth floor of a nice apartment complex in the Jayanagar. When she reached home and rang the bell, Usha opened the door. Nooni was surprised and happy to see the mother. "Mom, what are you doing back from the office so early?" Without waiting for a response, she handed over her school bag to her mother and went inside her bedroom to change the clothes. On her way, she passed by the kitchen and saw the maid Kaveri cutting the vegetables. Usha followed her. "Nooni, I am sorry, we are not going to go Coorg this year. I hope you aren't too disappointed," she said. "That's fine, Mom, but why? What happened?" "I have to attend a special training program in Delhi. It is very compulsory and I have to report there in a few days. The training is for 6 weeks, Nooni." "Oh, Mom, I want to come to Delhi too. You know how much I love it there." Nooni went to her mother and hugged her. Usha knew that her daughter loved places with monuments, probably because Usha herself was a graduate of history and often told Nooni simple and short stories about famous buildings. A few years ago, Shekhar had been invited to speak at a 4-day conference in Delhi, and Usha and Nooni had accompanied him. While Shekhar spent his days working, Usha and Nooni went to see the Qutub Minar, the Red Fort, and Humayun's tomb. Nooni was enchanted by the stories behind the old buildings. "No, my child," Usha said a little sadly. "I can't take you. I have to stay in a shared room with another colleague. Also, Delhi will be hotter right now." "Hotter than Indore?" "Of course," said Usha. "Then I have to spend my entire vacation in summer camps," declared Nooni enthusiastically. "No, that may not be necessary," Usha said thoughtfully. "Let me think about this a little bit and figure out where you can stay for 6 weeks. Give me some time, I'll talk to your father." Nooni nodded. She was not worried. She knew that her parents would find a nice place for her to stay. That day, her father also came home early from the work. By then, Kaveri finished cooking and left. Their routine was precise. Every weekday morning, Usha got up early to make breakfast and lunch for the family. The three of them ate breakfast, after which Nooni rushed to catch her school bus. Usha went to the office by her scooter, and Shekhar took the car to the hospital. Both the parents came back by lunchtime to eat together. Then Usha would immediately leave, and Shekhar would rest in the afternoon too and go back to the hospital in the evening for consultation. He usually came back at night or sometimes even later, depending on the number of patients. Weekends were a very different story. Saturday was a half day for both mother and daughter. So Usha took Nooni for swimming in the evenings. Sunday was a much dreaded homework day. While Nooni slogged, Shekhar would relax and meet their friends around and help around the house. Kaveri came in the evenings and every day cleaned the house, cooked and left. Everything was like clockwork in their house. Nooni found it very boring. At the dinner table that night, the subject of the discussion was Nooni and where she could stay for 6 weeks. But even after a half hour, her parents couldn't decide. After Nooni had finished dinner, Usha suggested, "Why don't you go to the living room and watch Chota Bheem?" Nooni understood that her mother wanted to distract her and went into the living room. Still, she could overhear her parents talking in the next room. "Shall we send Nooni to Indore?" Usha asked her husband. "No, she's not used to the terrible heat there. But it's also true that I can't look after Nooni by myself for 6 weeks. Maybe I should call my parents." Shekhar wondered aloud. "I don't think your parents will come here for such a long time. As it is, your mother hardly stays here for a week before she starts having asthma attacks and then she rushes back to the home. You know, they are uncomfortable in a small apartment since they are used to living in their spacious house in the village. Still, I would like if they agreed to come. Why don't you talk to them?" "How about Dr. Vivek's house?" Shekhar suggested. "His wife and he can take care of Nooni. They are helpful, young, and energetic." "Oh, that's not practical. They have a 1-year-old baby, and it's not right to leave our child in someone else's house for 6 weeks. It is better to talk to your parents," said Usha. Shekhar wasn't convinced. "Can you drop out of your training program?" he asked. "No, I can't do this time. I have already postponed it multiple times in the last few years. Now it has come to a point where I must complete the training if I want to grow in my career." Shekhar nodded, took out his phone, and called his father. He explained the problem and requested his parents to come and stay in Bangalore for a few weeks. After he finished the call, Shekhar looked at his wife and said, "Appa has different opinions. He thinks that he should let Nooni stay in village. They can't come because one of the cows is pregnant and Aunt Sarasu's daughter is also going to getting married in the summer. The mango season will start soon and Appa says that he has lot of work. He is giving me every excuse that he can not to come here." Shekhar sighed. "Don't say that," Usha said firmly. "Appa is not giving you excuses. He is telling you the truth. The cow, the wedding, and the work in the field are important to him. Just like I can't skip my training, your parents can't leave their home either for 6 weeks. But think about his suggestion. It may not be a bad idea for Nooni to stay in Somanahali. It will be safe. My only concern is that she will not have any friends there, and if so, how will she spend her time there?" Appa said that there is a new headmaster who has come to take care of the high school. He has son around of Nooni's age. Also, many of my cousins' children are coming to the village for the wedding. I don't think that Nooni will get bored. Why don't we ask Nooni for her opinion directly?" Usha smiled and nodded. "Nooni!" Both the parents yelled together. Though she was still watching Chota Bheem, Nooni knew exactly what was going on. She wondered whether she would go to the Vivek's uncle's house or to her grandparents in the village. In the time Somanahali, it was better to stay in Somanahali because of the wedding in the family and the cattle in the cowshed and the vast field that she could play and the river that she could swim. She went to her parents and declared, "I will go to Ajja's place." Usha heaved a sigh of relief but remained a little concerned at the thought of sending her daughter away for so long. Shekhar was quiet. "In that case, it is decided." Usha turned to Nooni and said, "We will sleep early tomorrow and the next morning your dad will drop you to the Somanahali. You should both leave by 6 so that your father can get back to the Bangalore at the same day. I will pack your bags for the trip and a few things for Ajja and Ajji too." "That's a good idea. I will ask Vivek to come with me so that I don't get bored on the way back. Usha patted Nooni on her head. Both of them headed to the living room to watch the last few minutes of the Chota Bheem. Chapter 2, Visiting the Village. 2 days later, Nooni woke up early in the morning. She quickly had a bath and went to the dining room. Usha combed her hair and gave her breakfast. While Nooni was eating, her mother said, "My child, this is the first time that you will be away from both dad and me. I know your Ajja and Ajji love you very, very much, but they are getting old. Try and help Ajji in the kitchen. Maybe you can do things like washing the vegetables, cleaning the tables, placing the mats, filling the water." Nooni nodded absent-mindedly and continued, "I have packed your walking shoes, swimming costumes, and 2 pairs of flip-flops. I have also packed a few hats so that you can use them when you go out in the sun. Don't drink water from anywhere except for the boiled water that Ajji gives you. I'll have kept an extra water bottle so that you can carry some water with you no matter wherever you go." "Don't worry, Mom," said Nooni. "I've added some fun books for you to read. Some of them are simple stories about the history of Karnataka and India. You can sit with your grandfather every day and he will add to those stories. I will call you as frequently as I can, but your dad will call you every day. Behave well and enjoy your stay. Nooni, I don't want to hear any complaints about you. What do you want from the Delhi? I will definitely get it for you." Nooni heard her mom's voice turn hoarse. When she looked up at her, she was surprised to see that her mother's eyes were moist. "Get me whatever you like, Mom," said Jade gently. Usha patted Nooni's head. When Shekhar walked into the dining room with a few minutes later, Usha pointed to a basket and told him, "Take these apples and oranges for your parents. I have bought 2 packets of walnuts and almonds for your father and 2 cotton sari for your mother. She will find them comfortable in the summer. Don't forget to give it to them now. I have also kept some paper garlands for local temple there. Your mother was looking for them when she was here last time." Suddenly, Usha grabbed Nooni and gave her a long, tight hug before saying goodbye. Nooni didn't understand why her mother looked so sad and simply hugged her back. Vivek uncle joined Shekhar. Vivek uncle joined Shekhar and Nooni while they were putting their bags in the car. Within 2 minutes, the trio were on their way to Somanhali. Since Nooni was not used to getting so up early in the morning, she quietly fell asleep in the back seat. When she woke up, she found her father and Vivek uncle chattering about various things. "I have a cousin who lives in Harihara near the Hariheshwar temple. We can take a bathroom break if you want. Nooni can relax a little before we resume our journey," Vivek uncle suggested. "Since there's barely any traffic right now, we may reach early if we don't stop on the way," said Shekhar. Then he turned to the Nooni and asked, "Do you want a break and use bathroom later? If so, we will go to Harihara." Nooni shook her head. Shekhar continued, "When I was younger, this journey used to take 8 hours. I don't know how I survived it." "What was it to grow up in Somanhali, Shekhar?" "Ours was a joint family of 3 brothers and their families. We all lived under the same roof. Both my uncles were older than my father and had 4 children each. My father, however, had only one children, me. So we were total of 9 children. My mother was a patient woman since she was the youngest wife and the family made her responsible for all the cooking. My poor mother has spent entire life in the kitchen. It was the same menu for the breakfast every day, poha or upma. I didn't like either of them. Sometimes though there was dosa or idli. When I complained to my mother about it, she would try to pacify me by saying that individual requests could not be entertained in a joint family. It was very frustrating for me at that time. "Now I know why you don't touch upma at any office party," said Vivek. "Not only that, I asked Nooni that what she want to eat for breakfast. I have told Usha to make whatever she wants and not what is convenient for us. I really had a hard time and I know how it feels. Growing up, I had the same problem with clothing. While the girls had a little more freedom, all the boys had pants and shirts made of the same color and material. It was like I had a uniform at home and school. Vivek laughed heartily. Shekhar did not. Noni finally understood why her dad took her to a fancy mall on her birthday every year and asked her to buy whatever she wanted. Though he would have liked to buy her a dresses, Nooni usually chose leggings and a tee, and he never forced her to change her choice. You must have a lot of fun, though, said Vivek. To tell you the truth, I didn't like living in a joint family. Individual merit is usually never considered or appreciated in such family. For example, I was very good at studies, but my cousins were not. Still, we went to the same school. Later, my parents sent me to Hubli to study, and I have to switch from a Kannada medium to English medium one. It was a big change and tough adjustment, but I fared well. Eventually, I completed my graduation from Karnataka Medical College in Hubli, and my post graduation was from Bangalore. After coming Bangalore, I knew I wanted to live in a big city. There are just so many more opportunities. How did you spend your summer vacations? Well, there wasn't much choice. It is a sleepy village with a population of around 4,000. There was no summer school or workshops, and so there was nothing much to do. Amma would make a lots of papad which needed to be baked in the sun. So other kids and I helped her by running up and down the stairs and spreading them out in the terrace. If it rained, we rushed to cover them with plastic sheets. She would make multiple kinds of pickles, so we have to help her with cutting the mangoes or chopping the wood because of the rampage shortage of electricity. There would be all kind of errands to run. Of course, we had helpers, but still, if we didn't work, they didn't work either. I hated the course. Instead, I wanted to read. My limited stock of new books would finish within a week during my holidays, and we didn't have a library in our village. So, one summer, my father gave me Kittel's Kannada English dictionary, which I memorized. In those days, the literacy rate was very high, so some villagers would come to me to help them write the letter. Are you planning to gift Nooni a dictionary too? Joked Vivek. Yes, Usha had already packed a dictionary in her bag, but it's not hard. It's a children dictionary. Shekhar glanced at Nooni in the bag. See, are you completely awake? Do you want to eat something? No, she replied absent mindedly. She was thinking about starting the work on the dictionary soon. You must have fond memories of your village, remarked Vivek. Yes and no. Almost all my cousins have left the village and are in ordinary jobs. After their parents passed away, they wanted to sell their property and I bought it because my father didn't wanted to lose our ancestral land. Practically, it is of no use for me because I have settled in Bangalore and I don't want to even move back. I don't have any friends there and I feel like a misfit. I don't like to see the dirt, dust, and the bad maintenance in the village. There's also a frequent failure of electricity. Now it is very difficult for me to live there. Usha doesn't seem to mind it so much because it's her father was transferred to many states and villages during his career at the bank. But still I know that the village is my parents' life. Do you have any relatives there? Yes, I have a aunt called Sarasu. She is my father's sister and is settled there with her children and grandchildren. I don't think she's ever gone out of Karnataka. Then I have a cousin who owns a medical store and his son is an army officer currently based in Delhi. He visits once a year and I make sure that I meet him then. What does your father do in the village? Oh, he's a very busy man. He is a trustee of a temple, and whenever a wedding takes place, he is called for the occasion and the newlyweds take his blessings. He has a few cows and insists on taking care of them, even though they only have supply of 1 liter milk every day. He also grows paddy and coconuts but spends more money on the labor and then donates most of it to the temples. He grows bananas and them give away to the village children. Sometimes he sells vegetables too. He is very happy going about his business. Amma is another one. She can't make food for 2 people only. She cooks for at least 10. They have few servants who do a little work but are reliable paid well, and fed even better. Overall, I guess you could say that my parents lead a happy and contented retired life. Nooni started thinking about Ajja's and Ajji's house in the village. She had been there many times. Ajja owned a 15-acre garden on the outskirts of the village, and adjacent to it were huge paddy fields. There was a small and beautiful rivulet flowing through the garden. Ajja and Ajji had built a small guest house and a few houses for the workers to stay in. There was a wall around the garden but not the paddy fields. He called this his farm. Nooni loved the farm. There was so much fresh water and air and so many trees. It was her dream playground for hide and seek. It was warm by the time they reached the sleepy little village of Somanahali. Shekhar's father was standing outside the house waiting for them, along with an unexpected crowd of people. The villagers had to see the important Dr. Sahib who belonged to their village. At least 10 patients were sitting on the side awaiting for a free consultation. As Nooni got out of the car and looked around, she noticed that Ajji was very busy serving the tea to all the patients. She rushed inside to meet her grandparents and touched her feet. Ajji immediately hugged her and Nooni felt warmth of a hug. From the corner of her eye, she saw Mahadeva approaching. Mahadeva was an 18-year-old boy. His father was a clerk in a Gram Panchayat while his mother worked in the kitchen and helped Ajji every day. The family owned a small piece of land. Mahadeva dreamed of graduating from college, increasing his knowledge about horticulture and starting a greenhouse or a nursery of his own. But he needed money for his schooling. Luckily, Ajja was sponsoring his education and Mahadeva was very grateful to the old couple. He stayed in the Ajja and Ajji's house and took a bus to college every day. In the summer, his college was closed and he made sure that he was available entire day to help Ajja and Ajji with their course. Mahadeva came and asked, Ajji, where should I put Nooni's bag? You can keep it in the room next to Amma's. Shekhar answered his question and introduced Vivek to his parents. Shekhar, Usha, Nooni always stayed in that room during their visits to Somanahali. No, said Ajji. Please leave it alone in my room. I don't want the child to sleep alone. Oh, Ajji, I'm used sleeping by myself in my room at Bangalore. Nooni said confidently. This is not Bangalore, Nooni. There is better air circulation in my room at night. Also, I can tell you lot of a story before we sleep. Nooni smiled and nodded enthusiastically. Mahadeva kept the bags and brought the fruits and other goodies from the car into the living room. Nooni saw a few children swarm around the goodies. She only knew one of them, called Medha. The children were fascinated by the contents of basket. Ajja noticed Nooni's curious face. Nooni, you will have many friends to play with during your vacation time. You already know your cousin Medha, don't you? Yes, she is Sarasu Ajji's granddaughter. Medha studied in the 7th grade in the local high school in the village. She was very fond of arts and was exceptionally good at rangoli and nature sketches. She was shy and took time to make friends, but she was very helpful and excellent household work. Then there's Amit, who comes from Delhi and studies Kendri Vidyalay in Kendri Vidyalay there. Ajja continued, he is Dr. Kaka's grandson. Nooni nodded. She knew Dr. Kaka, his real name was Prakash, and he owned a multi-purpose store in the village. It was mainly a pharmacy that also sold newspaper, milk, and other grocery items. Since it was the only medical store in the area, people who could not afford to go to a doctor would go directly to the Prakash. They would tell him their symptoms and request him for the advice and medicine in the time. In time, Prakash came to be known as Dr. Kaka even though he was not a real doctor. His son was a colonel in the army, but despite his regular transfers, he managed to visit Somanhali for a few weeks every year and ensured that his son, Amit, spent all his summer vacation in the village. He would say, it is important for a person to know his or her motherland as well as their village to develop patriotism. Amit must know where he comes from. When Amit first came to spend 2 months in the village, he found it hard, but he adjusted very quickly. Now he stayed in Somanahali without either of his parents. He knew Hindi well. Most of the time, he could be found swimming in the Varda river or in his grandfather's pharmacy in the evenings. Ajja pointed to the boy who was sifting through the fruits in the baskets. You see that boy? Ajja asked. He is Anand, the son of our newly school headmaster Shankar, and he is in the 8th grade. His family just moved from Mysore. He is an intelligent boy and an avid reader. He also knows a lot about computers and other subjects. Because the atmosphere in his house is very academic, father and son discuss politics, history, physics, and various other topics around almost every day. Is Shankar around? Asked Shekhar as he relaxed on the chair. Vivek was sitting comfortably on a sofa nearby. You mean Shankar Master? He must be in a school at that time, said Ajja. His wife Gauri is my friend's daughter, Ajji added. So we have given the family the adjacent house to stay in. Anyway, the house is locked for years. What happened to the house on the other side? Asked Shekhar, recalling the empty houses of his two uncles. That is also under lock and key. We use the part of it as a storage and a part is kept ready for guests to stay. If there is a wedding in the village and people come from outside, they stay here. Why isn't there a wedding hall in the village? Asked Nooni. No, the concept doesn't usually exist in the villages. Typically, the wedding is performed at home and guests are accommodated in people's house, Ajja concluded. Appa, I am going to leave after lunch, interrupted Shekhar. I must reach Bangalore today. Usha will leave for Delhi in afternoon. I have kept some bananas, tender coconuts, and 10 kilograms of rice and 100 lemons for you to take back home. Also, take back a few vegetables from our garden. Everything is organic. No, Appa, please, I can't. I will be living alone now and I don't need so much. It will be getting wasted. Getting the water out from tender coconut is a big process in city. I'd rather buy it from a vendor who sits in front of my hospital and gives it to me ready to drink with a straw. We still have the rice you gave us. Moreover, there is no one at home to make pickle out of these 100 lemons. Just 10 will be enough for me. Ajja sounded sad when he said, It doesn't matter, you can share it with Vivek. No, sir, it is really too much for me too. I can take only half of everything, said Vivek. Well, the cart is already loaded with the fruits and vegetables. Give the remaining to a temple nearby. The nearest temple is a quite distance away. Appa doesn't understand the logistics and the distances in the city. Shekhar thought to himself. Meanwhile, Ajji started laying down banana leaves on the dining table. Nooni remembered her mother's advice to the kitchen and rushed to the kitchen. Ajji, may I help you? You are such a sweet little girl. Why don't you eat and sit down with your father? Let me at least give everyone water. Nooni insisted. Is the water boiled and cooled? Shekhar turned to his mother and asked. Shekhar, don't worry. As a doctor's mother, I am aware of the importance of clean water. We also have a water filter at home. I said a G and started putting the water into the glasses on the table. I don't know how I used to drink water from the river when I was a child, but the funny thing is that I never fell sick. Maybe the rivers weren't polluted at that time. Shekhar wondered sadly. Aji had made several dishes for lunch, but Shekhar did not taste all of them. I will have light lunch, Amma, or I will become sleepy and be unable to drive if I eat so much. Aji was unhappy, but she recovered soon. Be careful while driving. Don't worry about Noni. She will have a very good time here. I have already made plans for her. Every morning, I will involve her in the activities of home, and every afternoon, she can spend the time with her friends. Many children are coming from the wedding for the wedding, so Noni will have fun meeting with them. I have stitched a silk lehenga and a blouse for her, said Ajji. I am planning to take her for my morning walk and show her different animals and the birds which she won't see in the Bangalore. Tell Usha not to worry about her. We will try to call her once a day, Ajay assured him. Nooni smiled to herself. Ajay was a talkative person and his morning walks could hardly called morning walks. He talked to everyone he met on the road and leisurely took an hour to reach his farm, which was no more than 20-minute walk away. Then he would spend an hour there and bring back some vegetable and fruits to the house. Soon it was time for Shekhar and Vivek to begin the journey. Nooni hugged her father. Dad, I will enjoy myself here. Please don't worry. She was happy and stayed in village. There would be no routine to no summer camp. Shekhar smiled and opened his bag and took out a brand new cell phone. He handed it to Nooni. You will never have this privilege in Bangalore. I have bought this for you, but only while you are here. The landline in Appa's house doesn't always works, and I'm quite certain that the reception here may not be as good as either. You can use to this to call us when there's a proper good network. Can I take pictures with the phone, Dad? Asked Nooni excitedly. Yes, of course you can. Nooni did not know how to operate the new cell phone, but she knew that she would figure it out quickly because even in Bangalore, she knew how to use her mother's cell phone better than her mother did. She was pleased at the thought of taking pictures of Ajja's farm and the cowshed and the fruits and the vegetables. Nooni happily said goodbye to her father and Vivek uncle. As soon as the car left, she suddenly felt like she should have gone back with her father. For an instant, she felt abandoned in a strange place without her parents. Her thoughts were cut short as Ajji's voice called out to her. Nooni, I am eating lunch now. Come and sit next to me and help me. Ajji's real intention was to distract her. She understood what the child must be feeling. Softly, Ajji said, someday you will have to leave your parents' house either to study or because you are getting married. At first, you may find it very difficult, but you will learn a lot and eventually you will adjust. Then you will find that it is a nice feeling to be on your own. Look at your father. He left this village when he was only 16 years old, and when Ajja went on pilgrimage, I felt left in here all alone. But I learned to manage the farm and the house. So when you go back to the Bangalore after 2 months, you would have learned and understood more than any book can ever teach you. Now tell me, would you like to watch cartoons? No, Ajji, I don't want to watch TV, replied Nooni. Her eyes were focused outside the main door on the bicycle leaning against a wall. Ajji, who rides that bicycle? She asked. That bicycle belongs to Anand. He rides it like the wind. Even in fact, every child in the village knows how to ride bicycles because the government gives all the students bicycles. Why are you asking? Don't you know how to ride? No, Ajji, I don't know how. Nooni said a little disappointed. In fact, the government doesn't give bicycle at my school. Maybe not. You are big city and a different school. I also want to learn how to race with the wind. Ajji, Nooni whined. It is not difficult to learn how to ride a bike. I can ask Anand or Mahadeva to teach you. But remember that unlike Bangalore, the roads here are not tarred and you may fall. And if you are scared of falling, then you won't be able to learn. Why didn't you learn in Bangalore, Nooni? There are barely open space for kids like me to learn to ride. Just then, Anand, Amit, Medha walked in through the front door. Ajji asked them, Children, did you all eat lunch? They all nodded and said hi to Nooni. Amit added, But I haven't eaten any dessert. I knew it. Follow me. I have made a payasam today from the milk our cow Basanti gave us. Nooni, please bring 4 bowls and spoons from the kitchen. Nooni got up and got the bowls and the spoons. Within a few minutes, the 4 children sat and ate their fill of the payasam without any hesitation. Nooni felt a little awkward. In Bangalore, she would not behave so shamelessly in anyone's house, even if it was her friend's house. Suddenly, she felt shy and did not know what to say to Anand, Medha, and Amit. After a minute, she mustered up her courage and turned to Anand. I want to learn cycling, and Ajji says that you are very good at it. Will you teach me, please? Anand looked at her closely. But you are wearing a dress. Change it into pants first, and we will go out to the school playground. Also, don't blame me if you fall down. It happens. I fell down 3 times when I was learning. I can show you the scars right now. He proudly lifted his shirt sleeves and rolled his pants to knees. He had 3 distinct scars. Anand, be gentle. Nooni does not have to learn cycling in a day. She will be here for 6 weeks, said Ajji. When do you want it to start? Anand asked Nooni. Now, if it was a half question. Anand nodded. Ajji called out to Mahadeva and instructed him. The kids are planning to go to the school playground. Go with them and keep an eye on all of them. Nooni is going to learn cycling, and so you can help her ensure that she doesn't do too much in one day. In fact, you can teach her yourself. Come on back before the sun sets. Here, take some apples with you in the case the children feel hungry. Then she turned to Medha. You can also go and get your cycle. Ajji, I need a cycle too, said Nooni. Don't worry about that. You can take mine. I will bring it to the playground. I have something else and want to do anyway. Medha offered immediately. Ajji looked fondly at all of them. Children, whenever you want to go anywhere in the village with your friends, make sure that you take Mahadeva with you. He knows this area like back of his hand. Nooni nodded obediently and rushed to the bedroom to change her clothes. Amit said excitedly, Ajji, I cycled and ride a Luna inside the army campus because the roads don't have potholes and there are nice and wide. I will also bring a cycle. He turned around and ran home. Chapter 3 Learning to Cycle. By the time all of them reached the playground, it was almost 4 pm. Medha bought a cycle for Nooni and went and sat on some steps at a short distance away and immersed herself in knitting. What are you doing? Asked Nooni, walking towards Medha. I'm knitting a small hanging purse. I saw the design in the book. It's going to come out very nicely. Where did you learn to knit? We have a weekly art and craft class in my school. Our teacher teaches us knitting, hand embroidering, and needlework. I just love her class. A comfortable silence fell between the two girls as Medha continued to knit and Nooni watched in fascination. After a few minutes, Medha asked, Your name is Anushka, right? Then why does everyone call you Nooni? When I was a small baby, I couldn't say Anushka clearly. Whenever someone asked me what my name was, I said Nooni. So my family and friends accepted my pronunciation and began calling me Nooni too. Somehow the name stuck. But now that I'm grown up, people look at me weirdly. Then I tell when I can't pronounce Anushka. Medha laughed. Meanwhile, Amit and Anand started playing makeshift cricket on the other end of the ground. Mahadeva shouted from distance. Come Nooni, Medha's cycle is perfect for you. You can sit on the seat and your legs will touch the ground. The most important thing about learning cycle is getting the balance right, said Mahadeva. The size of the cycle doesn't matter much. Now hold the handlebar and start pedaling. I will hold the carrier from the back so that I can keep cycle in place and you won't crash to the ground. Don't be scared, you Nooni. You will be fine and this is an open pace and you won't hit anyone. As Nooni started pedaling, she felt her heart sink. The cycle was wobbling. She could hear Mahadeva's instruction from behind. Continue pedaling. Go forward. You are holding the brake, Nooni. Don't do that. You should never brake when you are going fast or you will topple over. When you want to stop, gently brake and the cycle will slow down just enough for you to put the feet on the ground, which will bring it to a halt. Nooni cycled almost 100 meters with Mahadeva, holding the carrier and running behind her. She was happy and she could pedal and move. Mahadeva encouraged her. Keep going. This is a large ground. Take the cycle where you want. I will hold you. Nooni started pedaling faster. After an hour, she was comfortable and started balancing on her own, even though she was a little shaky. Come on, let's go another 100 meters, said Mahadeva breathlessly. Suddenly, she heard a laughter behind her. When she turned back to see what was happening, she saw Mahadeva grinning at her distance. He was not holding the cycle anymore. For a few seconds, she was happy that she was able to ride independently, but cycle started wobbling and she crashed with a thud. Mahadeva came running to her and said, Never turn back, Nooni. Look ahead and ride. For 2 more hours, Nooni continued to practice. Sometimes Mahadeva held the cycle and other times he would get Nooni started and then leave her to ride alone. By late evening, Noni could cycle a short distance without his help and without turning back. A little while later, the children said their goodbye and went their home. The next morning, Amit and Anand did not come to playground. They didn't want to play cricket anymore and thought it would be boring to watch Nooni cycle again. So they decided to go kite flying. Medha did not also turn up. It was Nooni and her teacher Mahadeva. Nooni practiced relentlessly, obsessed with the task at the hand. By the end of the afternoon, she was confident and could manage the cycle on her own. Mahadeva advised her, listen to my tips, Nooni. First, if you are going fast and when you make a turn, then you will lose your balance. So, when you want to turn left or right, slow down the cycle and then make the turn. Second, you should learn to balance while climbing uphill or downhill. Third, it is harder to cycle slowly than fast. It is best to try and keep it a medium pace. If there are any potholes, go around them. Now you are ready to do this on your own. Go ahead and cycle. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Nunes began to cycling on her own. She felt free. From the corner of the eyes, she saw Mahadeva carrying a box. She turned the cycle towards him, but she was too quick. She fell down and hurt her right knee. Blood started oozing out of the wound. Though it was really smarting, Nooni bravely said, "Oh, it barely hurts, don't worry." As Mahadeva came closer, she saw the box in his hand. It was a first aid box. He smiled without saying a word, made her sit on the steps, washed the wound, wiped it clean and an antiseptic and bandaged it. He then grinned and said, I knew you would do something like this, little loony. That's why I went to bring the first aid box. It's not hard how to learn cycle. The trick is to become a good rider is to fall less and control the bicycle well. That is very important. Today I think you have learned around 80% of the task. Tomorrow I will sit on the steps and you will take 10 rounds of the ground at a stretch without falling. Then I will get my cycle and come from opposite direction to give you some practice how to handle traffic. The day after I will put 2 kg of dead weight on the carrier and check if you can still balance the cycle. When Nooni showed her grandparents the scrap on the knee, they did not get scared or tell her to stop learning. Instead, they encouraged her. Falling down is a part of learning. You will be okay, Nooni. By the end of 2 more days, Nooni had completed Mahadeva's cycle curriculum. She fell down once but she wasn't hurt much, just a bandit was enough. Noni, I have taught you the basics and you can do this your own. You must continue cycling to practice and maybe you can try cycling with one hand or none. Excellence is not gained by accident, it is by habit. Noni felt proud of her achievement. Now she could cycle all over Somanahali and its bad roads without falling. She started wondering and doing the things she could do with Bangalore in a cycle. Would her parents her allowed to cycle to the school? She didn't think so. One evening, Nooni went to visit Medha at her house. Anand and Amit were also expected there. Medha, however, was busy crocheting a tablecloth. She had a scrapbook near her where many different kind of clothes were displayed with various types of stitching. It was seemed like an interesting book. Medha's grandmother was happy to see meet Nooni. She asked, what time you go to school in the city? How does your mother manage to work and do her course at home? My school is at 8:30, but I have to wake up 2 hours earlier because I have to leave home by 7:15. I have a quick breakfast with mom and dad, otherwise I won't see them until the night. Sometimes dad comes very late from the hospital and by then I am already asleep. We have a half-hour lunch and break at school. My school closes at 4, but I reach home 1.5 hours because of the crazy traffic in the Bangalore. Medha peeped in. My school is also at 8:30, but I leave home only 15 minutes earlier because it is so close to my house. I don't even take the bicycle with me. We have an hour lunch break, so I come and home with eat with Ajji and Amma. Then I go back to the school and return home by 5 p.m. I help Amma with some of her course for an hour and then I do my homework. While they were talking, Amit and Anand entered Medha's grandmother and started serving them delicious snacks. There were gulab jamuns, murukus, samosas, jalebis, biscuits, and an unending potato supply. What about your project, Medha? Noni asked, recalling the stressful project in the school. Our project is usually done in school. If I have a problem, I ask Shankar Master directly, but our projects are not tough. In Kendri Vidyalaya, the teachers make all of us sit down and do the project work after the class. We have a nice lab as well, but at the school are like other members of family. Unlike other schools, we don't hide things compete with each other. We share. That is the culture of our army, said Amit. I don't have a problem with project work. Dad and I always discuss everything and he always has good ideas. Nooni said, project work in my school is hell. There is so much competition. Who does the most difficult project? How many pages are there in the project report? And most of the time, parents do the work and credit their children. But mom never does that. She said, I will give you inputs, but the research and you have to do it yourself. Maybe that is the reason that I never got good marks for my project like my classmates. I have heard my parents say that the PTA meeting are also some turns out to be competition among parents. Nooni remembered her father telling her, it is an extremely competitive world out there. If there are 20 vacancy for jobs, then there surely will at least 2000 people would have applied for it. Unless you are at the top, you will not get good jobs. But how it is possible for everyone to be at the top? Noni thought sadly. At that moment, Medha's grandmother put a jalebi on her plate, and soon Noni immediately forgot all about her thoughts. Chapter 4, A Wedding in the Village. The next day, Ajji woke Nooni up early in the morning. She said, Nooni, we have to go to the Sarasu's Ajji's house today to help with the wedding preparations. There is a lot of work to be done. Get up and have a bath, eat your breakfast, and then we'll leave. You know, when the village did not have electricity, my family worked from sunrise to sunset to work the maximum that we could do in the daylight. That's how I got into the habit of getting up early and sleeping early too. Nooni yawned and stretched out her arms. What work do you have for the wedding, Ajji? She asked sleepily. We are going to help with laddus today and papas tomorrow. After that, we are going to make lot of pickle for the wedding lunch, and of course, we'll make some extra to last us through the year. Why are you making everything, Ajji? Aren't there any sweet shops here? What about Haldirams? In Bangalore, we always buy such thing from MTR, Mayyas, or Haldirams. Mom doesn't make laddus, pickles, or papads at home. My child, your mother works full time, and in the big city where the apartments are small, there really no place to store an entire year's stock. So the best way to get things is by buying small jars from the market. But in the village, you don't have any such shops. And the truth is that we have fun making these goodies. Why do you want me to come with you? What am I going to do there? Noni wondered. Well, the ladies and I will do the main portion of the work, but you and the other children must help us by running a few errands, and said Ajji. When your father was young, he also used to come with me. Noni nodded and went to the bathroom to get ready. When they reached Sarasu Ajji's house, Noni saw that house was being whitewashed. She noticed that there were many children from the village. Everybody seemed busy. Some children were bringing ghee from the storeroom, some were busy washing plantain leaves and dabbas, and others were cleaning the veranda. Suddenly, she glanced to the other side and saw heaps and heaps of laddu on the veranda. She had never seen so many laddus in her life. She saw Anand standing near the laddus and looking at them hungrily. She went and stood dramatically. He licked his lips and said, Nooni, do you know how many laddus they make? There are 2 laddu for each adult and 3 for each child. On top of that, they will make extras too. I am so tempted to eat a few, but my mother will angry if she finds out. Nooni laughed. The wedding was a week away, so Ajji and Nooni went to Sarasu Ajji's house every day. There were many people who kept trooping in from the villages and cities, and they stayed till the wedding was over. Some even stayed in the house next to Ajja and Ajji's home. Though Nooni didn't know many people, there were many girls of her age. There was a lot of noise and fun throughout the day in Sarasu Ajji's house. Many women volunteers kept coming in the garden to help with some work. The back garden was converted into makeshift kitchen. Breakfast and lunch were served at the house, and there was constant supply of tea and snacks throughout the day. A shamiana was erected. There were big carpets and mats everywhere. At night, the men slept in veranda while women slept inside the house. After discussing food, saris, Sarasu Ajji's lovely gift, the children had fun sleeping on the terrace. Nooni felt awkward at the informality of people there. She recalled Vivek uncle's quiet wedding in Bangalore. It just had taken in a hotel and was very short, just about half a day and without many rituals. She also remembered a wedding that she had attended with her parents at the Bangalore Palace. The palace was completely lit and there were thousands of people walking about everywhere. There was a parking problem and a big line for reception. There were plenty of food stalls including chaat, Thai food, North Indian food, South Indian delicacies. People were more interested in eating food than the actual ceremony. Unlike the happy wedding at Saraswati's house, Vivek uncle's and the Bangalore Palace wedding were very boring. Finally, the wedding day arrived. Ajji wrapped herself in the best silk sari and Nooni wore the red blouse and yellow silk lehenga with the red border. Ajji gave her necklace to wear, but Nooni didn't like it. Still, she wore it to make Ajji happy. From morning till evening, Ajja and Ajji were busy with the wedding activities. Since they were old and respected in the village, everyone who attended the wedding came and touched their feet. Ajji showed off Nooni to everyone. This is my granddaughter Anushka, she said to whoever she met. She has come from Bangalore to spend summer with us. Nooni felt a little shy. The variety of food was definitely not diverse, but it was tasty and traditional. Lunch was served in a plantain leaves. Sarasu Ajji told all the women, please make sure you pick up a box of mithai from the table on your way out. After lunch, Ajji went and stood at the table near the exit and Nooni became her assistant. Boxes of mithai were piled on it. Ajji held a silver bowl with kumkum and offered it to all women while Nooni handed the box of mithai to the families they were made out. That night, when the trio returned home, nobody wanted to eat because they had lunch at 4 in the afternoon. All women were very tired and so they went off to bed early. Ajji, tell me a story, Nooni insisted once the lights were off. Nooni, aren't you tired? I'll tell you a story tomorrow. No, Ajji, I want to hear a story now. Ever since I have come to village, you haven't told me even one story. Nooni persisted. Ajji got up and pulled the curtains aside. It was a full moon night and the moonlight came through the window room. It is as a magic lamp has been switched on, thought Noni. I don't see bright moonlight in the city, and how has the moon lit the entire bedroom? You live in an apartment. Your bedroom faces another apartment complex, and all street lights are on in the night. Then, how will you see the effect of natural light in the city? Here, we have very few street lights, and aren't any high buildings. My room faces the garden where there's open space and windows for the light to come in easily. Now I understand. Ajji, tell me a nice story about moonlight then. I know you have a story for every occasion, grinned Nooni. Ajji smiled and said, of course, what I am about to tell you that happened 1,000 years ago in this very village. Long, long ago, there lived a handsome king named Somnayaka. He was brave, kind, and courageous, and very generous. His kingdom lay in delta between the rivers Varda and Tungabhadra. There was a thick forest around the area, and many wild animals lived there. Sometimes they would enter the village and scare the people, destroy the crops, and eat the cattle. After a number of such complaints, the king himself decided to hunt these wild beasts. 2 days later, he went on hunting with a horse with his soldiers by his side. Soon, he had left his soldiers far behind and lost his way. The day passed and turned into late evening. The king's horse became tired, and Somnayaka tied him to a tree and went on to search of food. He collected some fruits, ate them, and brought some grass back for his horse. Suddenly, he felt very sleepy. It was it was a full moon night, and the breeze was cool and pleasant. Somnayaka noticed a flat rock behind some bushes and decided to rest. Within a minute, he was asleep. Suddenly, he was awakened by the sounds of girls chatting. He opened his eyes and glanced at the sky. To his surprise, there was a ladder coming down from the moon which joined some stairs that went all the way from the moon to earth. A group of beautiful women were coming down the steps. They all wore white saris and pearl ornaments and carried golden pots at their waists. He squatted near the bushes and counted them. There were 7 in all. He wondered what they would do next. As soon as they reached the earth, the oldest woman touched the ground with a stick and saw the ground give way and open up. All of them slowly disappeared inside the ground. Somnayaka was not scared, but he was desperate to know where they had gone. Carefully, he came out of the bushes and peeped. Then he felt a little bolder and walked towards the big hole in the ground. He was surprised to find himself looking into an enchanting step well. Ajji, what is a step well? Nuni asked. It is a well that has steps inside so that it is easy to get at the bottom. There are many step wells in our country. In fact, they are very famous. Remember that picture of the well you sent me from your tape from the Ambheri near Jaipur? Oh, that's true. There's a huge well there with almost 3,000 steps. Are you talking about similar that self? Yes, I haven't seen Ambhaneri myself, and that the Somnayak one saw was a small step well. It had only 21 steps, but there were 7 small exquisitely carved Shiva temple inside the well. Somnayaka looked down and observed the stunning carvings and the pillars and the beautiful angelic woman. He enjoyed seeing them play hide and seek for some time. Then they filled their pots with water, poured it on the idol of Lord Shiva, and performed puja. The whole process took several hours. By then, started getting lighter and it was a daybreak, and the moon started fading. Somnayaka hid behind the bushes again. Soon the woman climbed up the steps and went back into the moon. The steps disappeared and the ground closed up. Somnayaka sat in the bushes for a long time. Suddenly he felt confused. Had it been a real or it had been a figment of his imagination? Did he really see the ground open up and a well underneath? He stood up and came out of the bushes. He searched everywhere for a sign of the well but with no luck. There was not a single remnant of the incident he saw. I must have been so tired that I slept off and had such elaborate dream that I thought it was real. He turned and started walking. Just then he saw something sparkling on the ground. It was a broken pearl necklace. Somnayaka collected the pearls and realized it hadn't been a dream all. He tried to recall if he had ever heard about a stepwell in the kingdom, but nothing came to his mind. By then, one of his followers had traced him and come to rescue him. But Somnayaka told him, "Go back and inform that I am safe. I will come and stay here for a few days. Give me your food ration before you leave. I know the route and I will come back on my own." The next day he waited near the bushes again, but nothing happened. He waited one more day, but the woman did not appear. After another uneventful day, he thought of other possibility. Maybe these beautiful maidens come only on full moon days. Keeping that in mind, he got on his horse and went back to the capital. He went to the royal astrologer and found out the date of the next full moon. When the night came, he waited behind the bushes, and this time he was not surprised when a ladder came down from the moon. He knew the whole process by now and looked forward of the puja of Shiva. Somnayaka was an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. After the puja, he decided to take a chance and meet the maidens. Boldly he came out and stood near the stepwell. "Beautiful maidens, don't be alarmed. Here's my pranam to all of you." He folded his hands together and continued, "You have chosen our land for your worship of Lord Shiva, and I'm really grateful to you. I have noticed that when you go back, the ground closes on its own. May I earnestly request you not to make the well disappear? Please keep it open so that everyone can worship Lord Shiva in this beautiful ambience." The woman looked up at him at fright. It was a rude shock for them to see Somnayaka there, and they gathered closely. Then the eldest maiden took the lead and said, "Who are you? Why have you been observing us without our knowledge? This stepwell was made by a great architect. It can't be used by selfish people on the earth." Somnayaka bowed his head and said, "My sisters, I am Somnayaka, the ruler of this land. I know that this holy stepwell couldn't have been made by human beings, but Lord Shiva is fond of all his devotees, isn't it? Please grant my wish. If you have any conditions, please tell me. I will fulfill them." The maidens spoke to each other in a hushed whisper. Then the eldest one said, "We are impressed by your humility and your prayer. The water here tastes like nectar. That is Earth's speciality. Even though we live in the celestial world, the water isn't there tasty as what we get here. So we come every full moon night, or not to take bath or spoil the well, but just to drink and enjoy ourselves. As long as you promised me that you will not dirty the premises, that this water will use only for drinking, we will leave it as it is. People of your land can come and worship and take water, but before entering the step well, they must take a bath and wash their feet. If your people did not follow the rules, the well will disappear along with your kingdom. Think about it. It is a big price to pay. Are you ready to take a risk of losing your king?" Somnayaka thought for a minute and said, "A source of water is a source of life. I ensure that all of your conditions are taken." The maiden continued, "We have one more condition. On full moon nights, the temple must remain closed so that we can continue our visits. Nobody must be allowed to observe us or to talk to us. We want our privacy to be protected." Somnayaka agreed. He stepped forward and gave back the necklace to the maiden. He said, "I think this belongs to one of you." The women were very happy with his honesty. They drank water, climbed the steps, and vanished. The step well remained where it was. Somnayaka went to the nearest water body to have a bath, and then he returned at the step well for the first time. It was much more beautiful from up close. When he reached the bottom, he cupped his hands, drank a sip of water. It was very tasty. He felt that it was better than the nectar, which he had never drunk before. The next day, he came back to his kingdom and proclaimed, "There exists a beautiful step well of Lord Shiva in our kingdom. People who could like to go there and perform puja can do so, but on one condition. They have to bath and cleanse themselves before entering the step well. The water there will be used for no other purpose except for drinking. Everyone can carry away one pot of water and no more. These rules are strictly to be followed, with no exceptions. The temple will remain closed on the full moon nights and nobody will be allowed inside." Somnayaka wanted to make his people comfortable, so he ensured that there was one more water body near the step well. There the people could bath, change the clothes, and the step well. The news spread like wildfire. People came from all over the kingdom to see that architectural masterpiece and to pay their respects to Lord Shiva. The well remained open on all days except on full moon nights. Days passed and the word spread. People started coming from far and wide from different lands. A small tourist spot was set up near the step well and named Somanhali. Despite the increase in the number of visitors, the well was kept clean and the guards monitored the premises around the clock. After some years, Somnayaka married a lovely lady, Queen Ratnavati. She was beautiful and courageous but headstrong. Somnayaka told her about the way the well had been discovered and how celestial maidens had agreed to his request. Ratnavati wanted to know whether the maidens were more beautiful than her or not, but she knew that she would never get a chance to meet them because they only came in the full moon nights when no one was allowed inside. One day, the king had to go an important event in the neighboring kingdom. Ratnavati told her husband, "I am not feeling very well. I think that I will stay back in the palace." The naive king believed her and departed at the event. As soon as he left, Ratnavati called for her chariot and headed towards the stepwell. She thought to herself, "I am the queen of this land. Every inch of it belongs to me. So what if the well is a gift of the maidens? The well exists on my land and I am the legal owner. My husband doesn't want to take a risk and obeys those maidens' words without a question. I want to show him that nothing will happen if we break their rules." When the charioteer reached the Somanhali, the officer stopped her and said, "Oh queen, please don't visit the temple today. It is a full moon night and as per the government rules, no one is allowed to go inside. Why don't you stay in a guest house today? You can visit the well tomorrow." Ratnavati did not listen. "How dare you stop me? I am the queen. Everything is under my condition." Without another word, she barged into the stepwell. Since it was the full moon night, everything was shining like a silver. The water was shimmering and looked irresistible. She went into the water to bath. Suddenly, she heard the noise. When she turned, she saw 7 women standing on the steps. Though her heart told her that they were more beautiful than her ego did not allow to accept the truth. When the maidens saw Queen Ratnavati in the water, they became upset. Who are you? How dare you come here today? Has King Somnayaka forgotten our condition? Arrogantly, Ratnavati replied, I am his queen. This land belongs to me and I make the rules. You can come the day I want you to visit. You can't tell me when I can and I can't come here. The water here is the way it is because the earth and not because of anything you did. Who are you to talk like us? Or talk like this? You have not only disobeyed our rule, but now you have also dirtied the water. Once somebody had bathed in the water, no one can drink it again. The woman turned to leave while going up to the steps back the moon. The eldest maiden said, Ratnavati, you are going to regret this. They climbed the ladder and vanished. Queen Ratnavati tried to get out of the water to go behind them and talk to them, but all her efforts were in vain. Suddenly there was a thunder and lightning followed by a huge gust of wind and rain. Ratnavati quickly climbed up of the step well. The earth quaked and in a few seconds the well was closed. The queen was scared. She had been warned of the consequences. She was going to lose her kingdom. She cried to herself and said, I should not have done this. I have polluted the water and disobeyed my husband. I have destroyed the kingdom because of my arrogance. Somnayaka never came back from his travel and Ratnavati went mad crying in the streets. After a few days, nobody heard her again. The kingdom was eventually abandoned. It was sad that the queen, who should have been the protector of the kingdom, had destroyed a precious water source and disobeyed royal orders, broke a promise, and caused such a catastrophe. People say that our village, Somalahali, is near to that location of the stepwell. This story has been passed down from generation to generation, and no one has actually seen the well. Ajji finished the story. Nooni looked at the moon with sleepy eyes, waiting for the maidens to appear. Chapter 5 Ajji's Garden. When Nooni woke up the next day, Ajji went to the bedroom and said, Don't rush off for a bath today, Nooni. I want to oil your hair and then wash it. It will take some time. So change into an old dress and come outside. We will sit in the front garden. Ajja's and Ajji's house was located on a 1 acre sized plot and it was surrounded by coconut trees and huge garden at the back in the front. There was a well and a pump used for water the garden through all the seasons. Lazily, Nooni trudged to the bathroom and brushed her teeth. She didn't understand why a oil massage and a bath was a long process here in a village. In Bangalore, she usually had a bath by herself. Sometimes mom would give her oil bath. She would apply quickly a coconut oil on Nooni's body, give her a light massage followed by a bath. Usha was scared that if she used a lot of oil on Nooni, then the lines on the bathroom tiles would retain oil and become slippery. So Kaveri would clean the bathroom immediately after Nooni's bath. Nooni changed her clothes and came out of the garden. She saw Ajji ready sitting on a bench holding a bottle of greenish black oil that had dark leaves floating in it. Come, said Ajji, sit here with your back towards me. I will massage the roots of your hair with this special oil. After this massage, don't wash your hair for an hour. What's so special about this oil, Ajji? Let me tell you an important secret. In our family, we make most of the treatment medicines at home. For example, these leaves contain the Brahmi creeper and other herbs from my garden. It also has camphor and powder from a red dried sun hibiscus flower. Look at my hair. Nooni turned to around Ajji and Ajji proudly touched her thick and long hair. Though Ajji was old, her hair was not yet completely grey. It was more pepper than salt. Ajji smiled. This is my mother's recipe. She used this oil to massage the heads of all the girls in the family. Nooni sat quietly in the corner and Ajji continued. Nooni, there was no doctor or pharmacy in the village in the old days. So when someone was unwell or had symptoms like fever, cold, headache or body ache, they turned to home remedies. That's why we grew medicinal plants at home. Have you had a closer look at my garden and backyard? Nooni knew Ajji grew flowers in the front and some plants in the backyard. Other than that, she hadn't bothered to learn more. She looked around the garden and saw flowers of different colors. There were no gladiolas or gerberas, but there were plenty of native flowers like multiple variety of jasmine, rose, champak and many more. Ajji commented, I have a variety of jasmine that blooms every day. It is called Nitya Malij. Some jasmine bloom only in the summer like Dundu Malij, while other like Jaji Malij have a reddish colored petal at the back of the flower and they bloom only in the evening during rainy season. Then I have a very small variety of jasmine called Suji Malij. Their stems are as thin as a needle but their aroma is heavenly. Then there's Kadakamalij whose pepper pushes a bucket of flowers in the winter but without any aroma. Similarly, there are different kind of champaks such as the small, highly fragrant one called China Sampage, the seasonal big and the beautiful Sampage that are located in Bangalore and colored champaks called Kendra Sampage. Ajji, I can see roses in your garden too. That roses grow in Bangalore are much better, Nooni. Unlike our native plant, the roses bush are sensitive and need lot of care. Since we get too much sun here and the land isn't ideal, we can't grow too many of them in village. I have a few rose bushes, but you can't compare them to the quality of the flowers in Bangalore. I attend the Lal Bagh flower show in Bangalore twice a year. They have a lovely rose garden that displays roses of multiple color. Nooni recollected. Ajji, what do you have in backyard? There is a bush called Manoranjana that gives greenish yellow flowers and another bush named Rat Kirani whose flowers bloom only at night. The fragrance is unmatched. People say that snakes are enchanted by the aromas and they coil themselves around the bush at night. Really? Nooni remembered the snakes she had seen in the zoo and became petrified. Snakes come here and coil themselves here, in your home. Your room is so close to the garden. Ajji, what if the snake come inside? We should start searching a window at night. Ajji laughed heartily. Nooni, snakes come wherever there are trees and bushes. They don't really come for the aroma, though people tend to believe in such stories. The real reason is that they come to hunt for prey such as mice because mice eat fruits and seeds. There is an ecosystem at play around and one animal depends on another and it's for food and survival. Don't be scared. Will you show me all the flowers, Achi? Yes, I will. What else do you have? The rest are all medical plant, Nooni. You keep saying that, Aji. What do you mean by medicinal plant? Well, there are some bushes, trees, and creepers whose leaves, stem, fruits, or seeds, flowers, or root carry medicinal value. Your father tells me that a lot of tablets and medicines are made from the material extracted out of such plants. By then, Nooni's massage was over. She could smell her hair and its nice fragrance. Ajji tied her hair with a rubber band and said, Wear your slippers and then I'll take you to the back. In the backyard, Ajji started giving Nooni a tour of her plants. Nooni sensed her grandmother's pride. It was the same way as Nooni felt when she won a trophy and took it home to show her father. Unlike the front garden, there were hardly any colored flowers in the back. Ajji showed Nooni a small bush with a lot of green leaves. This is Tulsi. I know a little about Tulsi, Nooni said. Mom keeps a Tulsi plant near the kitchen and waters it every day. But what is so special about that everyone wants to keep it in their house? My dear, it is of a wonderful medicinal value and it is used in plenty of home remedies. There are 7 varieties, but I have only a few varieties in my garden. See, the Krishna Tulsi. It has dark leaves. Vishnu Tulsi has pale green leaves. Ram Tulsi had big pale green leaves and Kasturi Tulsi have a wonderful fragrance. Then there's a Ganga Tulsi which grows mostly in cold areas such as Himalayas. It is its specialty that it smells like Tulsi but have unique leaves. Then how did you manage to grow here? When I went to a pilgrimage in Gangotri, I brought the seeds back. Then I planted them in a pot and kept in a shaded area and watered it frequently. So the plant is grown, but it is not good as it can be. After all, it is not a native of our land. What do you mean a native of our land? Nooni, every terrain has a different environment with various seasons. So certain types of trees, bushes and creepers grow easily there compared to the others, and those plants are known as being native to the land. For example, you can't grow apple in the south, similarly you can't grow coconut in the north. Ajji continued and pointed to a plant. Look at this creeper called Amritabali. It is excellent for fever and body ache. We pluck these leaves and then drink the water. See these Brahmi leaves? It is used for hair oil. And here is the wonderful turmeric plant. Ajji stopped next to it. Oh, Nooni exclaimed. Its leaves are green but turmeric is yellow in color. Silly girl, almost all plants have green leaves. Turmeric Turmeric stays inside the earth as a bulb. When it is ripe, the leaves of the plant become dry. Once that happens, I take it out from the ground, dry it, sunbake it, process and powder it. Only then does it turn yellow. Whenever you have a cough, you can boil a little turmeric in milk and drink it. Noni walked a few steps further, close to a bush with thin green leaves and yellow flowers. Absent-mindedly, she plucked one of the leaves and put in her mouth. Aji changed her tone and said, Child, you can't just eat any leaf without knowing what is it. It may be poisonous. Noni immediately spat out the leaf. What did I eat, Aji? She asked, looking a little worried. It has a strange taste. This is Nagdali bush. It is used for treating snake bites as a snake repellent. Noni nodded quietly and said. Then she pointed to the side and said, What is this weird grass, Aji? It is a special grass called lemongrass. We use it to make healthy green tea. I have other types of grass too, such as rice grass, which is used to give a fresh aroma to cooked rice. There's some medicinal grass too. When our cows have overeaten or when their stomachs are not okay, I mix the grass with their hay. Ajji, she interrupted quickly. I think you have explored enough today. Nooni, come, let's go to the bathroom for your oil massage. Ajji said, Please don't put too much oil, I don't like it. Ajji smiled and took inside a big bathroom. It was the size of a bedroom. There was a big copper pot embedded in the wall and a fire burning below it. Nooni could see the remnants of dry twigs from the garden and coconuts. Ajji made her sit on a wooden stool and said, Our body needs oil that you have to apply bottles and bottles of cream. Just a good rub with a sesame or coconut oil and a good massage will relax your body. I won't use much hot water for your bath since it's summer. Without waiting for a reply, Ajji started massaging Nooni's body. Though it was uncomfortable at first, Nooni liked the massage after some time. A silence fell in the bathroom. After Ajji finished, she asked, Child, do you want to eat something unusual? Nooni nodded enthusiastically. Ajji washed her hands, bought a basket of big seeds of the next room. She said, These are jackfruit seeds from the garden. Then she picked a seed from poky twig and rotated in fire. Ajji, be careful, you can burn your hand, warned Nooni. Don't worry, I'm used to this. The fire is in slow flame. Soon, she removed the seed from the fire and discarded the burnt cover. Then she gave it to Nooni to eat. It was delicious. Nooni had never tasted anything like it before. She was in awe. I want to eat more, Ajji, she asked. Let's finish your bath and then you can eat more of these with some salt or chili powder or ghee with jaggery. Your father says that these seeds contain a lot of protein, but we only get to eat them on jackfruit season. Ajji filled 3 buckets of water. Nooni said, Oh, I don't think I need so much water. Ajji, oh, I forgot to bring the shampoo from my room. You don't need a shampoo. I have shikakai powder which will be enough. I will remove all the oil, said Ajji and started pouring warm water on her head. Chapter 6 The Story of a Stepwell. The next day, Ajja set out for the farm with 2 helpers in a tow. It was a mid-morning and the sun was shining brightly in the sky. Ajja and his helpers were planning to pluck pumpkins and then head to the nearest town to sell them. Nooni stood on the veranda and called out to him. Ajja, I finished my breakfast. I want to come with you in the farm too.
Child, it is hot and we will take a lot of time to finish our work.
That doesn't matter, Ajja. I will wear my hat. I really want to come with you. I have only seen the pumpkins in the vegetable shops and they are never with the vines. Please let me come. Nuni persisted. Ajja signaled for her to join. Nuni hurriedly grabbed her hat and Ajja picked up his umbrella. By the time the four of them reached the farm, the work was already in full swing. There were hundreds of pumpkins of different sizes and shapes lying in heaps. Ajja sat on a chair and started giving instruction about which the batch of loaded to be which pickup truck and which pumpkin to be separated to distribute his friends. After about half an hour, things were moving smoothly. Nooni started to talk her grandfather. Ajja, do you know the story of Somnayaka and the maidens that come down from the moon? Ajja smiled.
You must have heard this story from your grandmother.
Is it true? Is that really how Somanahali got its name? Do you think that there is a well somewhere under the ground? Maybe even below the farm or our house?
Nooni, that is all hearsay. I only know what our ancestors have told me.
And what did they say? Tell me, Ajja, I am dying to know. Ajja barked a few more orders and began his story.
Long, long ago, there lived a handsome king named Somnayaka. He was brave, kind, courageous, and very generous. His kingdom lay in a delta between Varda and Tungabhadra. There was a thick forest around the area and many wild animals lived there. Sometimes they would enter the villages, scare the people, destroy the crops, and eat the cattle. After a number of such complaints and no improvement in the situation, the king decided to hunt these wild beasts himself. 2 days later, he went on hunting with his horse and soldiers by his side. Soon he had left his soldiers far behind and lost his way. While searching for a way back, Somnayaka came across a hut where an old man was dozing on the veranda. There was nobody else around. The king got off his horse and waited for the old man to wake up. After some time, the old man opened his eyes. Somnayaka gently questioned him. You look a little unwell. Are you feeling alright?
The old man shook his head.
Isn't anyone here to take care of you?
The king asked.
This is my home and I am all alone. I have no family. Actually, I was planning to go to Kashi, but I felt so sick that I decided to stay back.
Kashi is very far. Why do you want to go there?
It doesn't matter. I won't be able to go in my current state of health anyway.
Somnayaka introduced himself.
I am a king, Somnayaka. Come with me. I will take you to my kingdom and make sure that you receive the best treatment.
The old man was surprised by the king's generosity and nodded. In a few hours, one of the soldiers found Somnayaka and all of them came back to the king's place. The royal physician treated the old man and the king ensured that he was given good food and plenty of rest. The old man recovered completely within a month, and when he was fit to travel, the king called him to his chambers and said,
Here is some money. Take it and travel to Kashi. Use it to fulfill your desire.
The old man laughed.
I don't think I need to go to their Kashi now. Maybe I can do what I want right here.
Tell me, why did you want to go to Kashi? Somnayaka was curious.
Oh king, I am an architect. I have great plans to build a step well, not an ordinary one, but a well with beautiful statues, ornate pillars, 7 Shiva temple. I have spent 5 years tuning the architectural plans and drawings. Some said that the king of Kashi is large-hearted and he may be generous enough to fund my stepwell. But now I know you are no less. Your devotion and your generosity to a stranger has touched my heart in more ways that I can say. Sir, if you can help me with my dream, I will be honored.
The old man opened his tattered bag and laid out the drawings in front of the Somnayaka. The drawings were immaculate and designs intricate. Somnayaka was impressed. I would like to construct this in my kingdom, but it will require a lot of money. Then I have to tax my people and I'm not sure that I want to do them, he said sadly.
Please don't worry about that. I don't want you to start this work with diffidence. If you allow me, I can help you a little. My entire clans of sculpture is 100 miles away in other kingdom, but I can call them there. I know also how to search for the hidden wealth below. Do you remember the hut you found me in? Hundreds and thousands of gold coins are hidden below the earth there. I didn't share this information with you at the time because I didn't know you, but it's time now. Let's unearth the enormous wealth and use it for the construction of the temple. Then you won't have to talk to the people. The king was surprised at his disclosure. He ordered his soldier to unearth the gold coin. True to the words of the old man, the king discovered the hidden treasures. Soon, hundreds of sculptures came from the everywhere and the work began with a great gusto. Slowly but steadily, the work continued. It took workers for 4 years to complete the step well, but the temple were majestic and magical. Whoever saw the temple in their last stages of completion simply stood and soaked in their beauty. The water source at the bottom has water so sweet that it tasted like nectar. A few days later, the old man handed over the temple to Somnayaka and said, "My dear king, the project is complete and my dream is realized. There isn't a beautiful well in the south of India. But if I may advise you like a father, listen to my words carefully. Water is a source of energy. If this source of water gets contaminated, then our entire effort will have failed and the temple will no longer remain the way it is. Please make sure that people wash their feet before they come into the temple, and everyone must be allowed to take only one pot of water away. I request you to regulate this. Also, please close the step well once every fortnight. There is 1 day break will allow the water to maintain its level. Never make an exception for this rule. Follow my guidance and the monument will stay the way it is for a very long time." King Somnayaka promised to do so and proclaimed his in his kingdom. There exists a beautiful stepwell dedicated to Lord Shiva in our kingdom. People who would like to go there and perform puja can do so, but on one condition. They have to wash their feet and cleanse themselves before entering the stepwell. The water will be used for no other purpose except for drinking. Everyone can carry only one pot of water and no more. These rules are strictly to be followed and there will no be exceptions. The temple will remain closed on full moon nights and nobody will allow inside. Somnayaka wanted to make his people comfortable, so he ensured that there was another water body for them near the stepwell. People could bath there, change their clothes, and then enter the stepwell. The news spread like wildfire. People came from all over the kingdom to see the architectural masterpiece and pay their respects to Lord Shiva. The well remained open on all days except on full moon nights. Days spread and word spread even further. People started coming from far and wide from another different land. A small tourist spot was set up near the stepwell and named Somanahali. Despite the increase in the number of visitors, the well was kept clean and the guard monitored the well or the activities during the day. Vigilant officers were hired to take care of the premises at night. Months later, the king was blessed with a baby boy. He named him Shashi Shekhar. Years passed and the prince grew into a young lad. Though he was smart, he was rather arrogant. One day, the king decided to go to for a 3 month pilgrimage with the queen to the North India and handed over the reins of the kingdom to his son in his absence. The king told him, "My child, you are the future of the king. You must learn as much as you can from your own experiences from observing others' life. You should be humble, respect people who are older than you, understand your subjects, and make all decisions keeping the welfare in the mind. Only then you can succeed and become a great ruler." Prince Shashi Shekhar nodded but didn't care much for his father's word. The king warned him about the rules of the stepwell and instructed his son to follow the rules until his return. Shashi Shekhar happily agreed. Once the king left the kingdom, Shashi Shekhar and his friends became the lords of the land. They were young, with no wisdom and no authority figure to stop them. The princess told them, "Your father is very old fashioned and hates to experiment. Decades ago, an old architect dictated some rules to him, and he is following them to this day. If something happens, you have enough wealth to create another stepwell. Water is made for fun. It will be wonderful to bath and swim in the stepwell. Why don't we do that in next full moon night? When your father comes, you can show that there's nothing special about that old fool's rules. Shashi Shekhar got carried away by his friends and recklessly went on a full moon night to swim in the well. The officers at the entrance stopped him, but he arrogantly replied, I am your ruler now and the land belongs to me. I can make the rules easily as I can destroy them. Nobody can stop me. He pushed the officers aside and went inside with his friends. They swam and played there and made fun of old people and came back to the palace. The next day, Shashi Shekhar made a new proclamation. The step well will be used for the prince and pool for his friends. People also can take much water there can. There will no rationing going forward. Within hours, people were carrying as much water they wanted. Rich people could carry more because they could bring a cart. In just 2 days, the water level started decreasing rapidly, and soon an epidemic occurred in the entire kingdom. People started getting high fevers and vomited frequently. Their symptoms continued for days. No one realized that this was because of the water contamination. Nothing could cure the epidemic, and people started dying. Shashi Shekhar was taken. He spent freely to get the best medicine for his people, and yet he was unsuccessful in saving them. In 4 months, the kingdom was reduced to just few thousand peoples. He lost his parents, the kingdom's crops, and his soldiers. The Shashi Shekhar now became worried about being conquered by a bigger army. He hated the temple. He thought that it was the root cause of evil and ordered his guards to fill it with mud. In less than a year, Somnayaka's beautiful kingdom was conquered by his neighbors and all was lost. Ajja, it is really true? Asked Nooni. I don't know this, but this was heard from my elders. We stay in the same Somanahali. When I was young, many people tried to locate the well but with no luck. Maybe it is all the hearsay, or maybe it occurred elsewhere. Maybe our ancestors made the story because of the name of our village. Who knows? But one thing's for certain, never disobey your elders' words if they ask you to take something seriously. It comes from experience, and don't forget, Muni, we should also use our natural resources like water carefully. Yes, Ajja, I know. I always see you take half glass of water twice rather than a full glass of water and leaving some to waste. Ajji also don't allows me to have a shower. Usually she gives me only one bucket of water, Nuni added. Recalled that there was no bucket in her apartment in Bangalore. She only had the option to shower. Despite that, her mother made sure that Nooni got exactly 7 minutes to shower, otherwise, the water would automatically turn cold instantly. By this time, the pumpkin heaps on the trucks looked like yummy orange mountains. Nooni sat in front seat of the pickup truck with her grandfather. It was much cooler than her father's car, or so she thought. Within the minutes, they were headed towards the nearest vegetable market. 7. Picnic at Varda River. After a few days of cycling everywhere, Noni wanted to do something different. The days were getting hotter, and so she decided that she wanted to swim. She requested that Ajja, I want to swim in the Varda River. Now that I can cycle, I can go on my own. What do you think? Nooni, it is not a good idea. The river is not a swimming pool. Don't become overconfident just because you know swimming and cycling. You are still a child and you must remember that you should be supervised in these sorts of places. I will take you to the river myself, but let us plan this sensibly. Why don't we have a picnic tomorrow? Ajji, Savita, and I will drive on the river with our pickup truck. We will bring raw vegetables and other ingredients so that we can cook on the bank of the river. You and your friends can come on your own bicycles, and once you reach the river, you can swim under Mahadeva's and my supervision. Then we will eat and come back home. Though Nooni did not like the idea of grown-ups accompanying her and her friends on a picnic, she was tempted by the thought of eating homemade cooked meal after a swim. She knew that Ajja rarely stopped her from doing anything, so he must have a good reason for not letting her go alone, and she readily agreed. When Ajji heard about their plan, she was very excited. She started packing the vegetables at the night and also invited Sarasu Ajji to the picnic. The two women happily discussed the menu for the next day.
chapati, sabzi, and bisabele, Juliana, a specialty of Karnataka. For dessert, they would take dry gulab jamun. Savita also got busy collecting other items such as mats, vessels, wood, a stove, steel plates, brooms, and plastic bags. She knew that Ajji would like to clean the picnic spot before leaving it. The next morning, Ajja and his team left for the river at 7 while the children met at 7:30 and began their 10-kilometer trip to the river on their bicycles. This was the first time that Nooni was riding her cycle outside the village. Cycling on uneven road was not easy. However, Nooni carefully cycled at a moderate speed. Suddenly, Amit zoomed ahead. Then he took a U-turn and came back to join the rest. After some time, he started to show cycling skills by lifting both his hands off the handlebar and reverse cycling immediately after that. On the way, the children stopped for a few minutes to admire the countryside and the growing crops. Nooni desperately wanted to stay a little longer to find out the names of the crops and their life cycle, but she knew that that would delay them, and then Ajja would get worried. By the time they reached the bank of the river, the three women had settled into the kitchen related activities on an old mandap that had been built long ago. It was on the top of a stone hill and was clean and spacious. From there, the woman could easily see the river. Ajja was the only man around, and Nooni smiled as she saw him from a distance supervising their work. As the children parked their cycle and walked closer to the water, Nooni noticed the absence of smell of chlorine. Ajja held out a hand, signaling the children to stop where they are. First, he got into the water. Then he turned to Mahadeva and said, I shall check to see the point up to which children can swim. They should start from here and keep away from the fast moving water. Ajja, are there any crocodiles here? Nooni asked, recalling a movie that she had seen. No, this river does not have crocodiles, but there may be some fish around. Listen now, children. Don't even try your diving skills here. There are stones at the bottom and you will end up getting hurt badly. Can you see that half immersed stone there? Ajja pointed out to a rock at short distance. You can swim till there and rest on the stone. Then, when you are comfortable, you can swim back. If you think that you can't come back on your own, shout out to Mahadeva or me and we will come. Amit was disappointed. What's the point in swimming such a short distance? I want to cross the river and reach the other side. Ajja shook his head and refused his request. Anand did not know swimming. He said, I will be happy just dipping my feet in the water. Medha knew how to swim, but she was not adventurous and was happy to simply splash around the water. Nooni knew swimming very well because of her previous lesson at summer camp. She was excited. She wanted to know how it felt to swim in a river. Suddenly, she had a thought. She asked Ajja, how do I know the direction of a river? Ajja smiled. That's very easy. Pluck a small leaf, set it free in the river, and just observe it. The direction its tail sails in is the direction of the water. Nooni didn't reply. She looked at Ajji and then ran towards her. Ajja was taken aback at her abruptness. When Nooni reached Ajji, she found her busy cutting vegetables. Slowly, Nooni whispered in her ear, Ajji, I want to use the toilet before I start swimming. Ajji laughed. You don't need a toilet for that. Go behind bushes over there. Savita said loudly and showed her the bushes. Nooni was shocked. She looked at her grandmother and whined. Ajji, how can I do that? It is unhealthy and I have never done it in the bushes. Ajji understood Nooni's problem. She said softly, My child, you are right. Unfortunately, there are no toilet in this area. If it is urgent, then you will have to do as Savita suggests. I will come with you and stand with my back towards you. This way I can cover and nobody will see you. No, Ajji, I can't do toilet here. Nooni refused. Then you may dirty the water when you can't control it. So it's better to use the bushes. Ajji persisted. She pulled Nooni's hand and went in behind the bushes. After the bathroom business, Nooni slowly walked back to the water. Her friends were already playing around the river. Since Nooni had worn a swimsuit underneath, she quickly pulled off her t-shirt and jumped into the water. It was cold, but she got used to it within a few minutes and started to enjoying herself. It was fun more than swimming pool. A pool restricted the area she could swim and it was usually too crowded during summer. People would inevitably bump into her, but here it was a blissful. She swam for some time, rested on the half-immersed stone, and swam again and splashed around with the water till she was really tired. I wish I could do this every day, she thought. Soon it was lunchtime and she heard Ajji's voice saying, "Children, get out of the water. Lunch is served." By then everyone was hungry and then happily got out of the water. Ajji gave them all towels to wipe themselves dry. While drying her hair, Nooni asked Ajja, "Where does this river come from and where does it go?" Every river has an origin. The Ganga comes from Gangotri and Yamuna comes from Yamunotri. In the same way, Varda originates from a perennial water source in village in the Sagar district of Karnataka. Small rivers merge into big rivers and big rivers joins the sea. Ajja, is the river always this wide? Amit piped in. No, the Varda's width reduces in the summer, but in rainy season, she swells to 3 times the current size. But the water will not be clean then. It will be muddy and dirty and the high current. Nobody swims at that time. Why are you referring to the river Varda as she? Because she is like a woman. She gives and gives and gives. Women are compassionate and they give their life for their family. Just like your Ajji does for our family and your mom does for yours. Ajji beamed at his words. The group ate a simple meal at the mandap. The children were so hungry that they ate 4 times their normal ration. Immediately after their meal, Amit, Medha, Anand, Nooni felt very sleepy. Ajja saw their droopy eyes and said, "Mahadeva, lay out the mats for the children to sleep. After their nap, we will leave and get back for the home before sunset." A few hours later, the adult drove back to the village and the children rode their cycles back to respective house. That night, Nooni and her grandparents were alone for dinner. Ajji suggested, "Gauri is out of station and it will be hard for Shankar Master to cook for Anand and himself. Let's call them for dinner." Ajja agreed. He loved talking to Shankar Master and frequently called him over through his house. "Let's call them," Ajja said. "Shankar Master is the only person in this village who can teach us about more things. He has traveled a lot and reads even more. He also surfs the internet every day. I'm old now and I prefer to learn like him. It makes me feel young too." Shankar Master came to the house an hour before dinner. At first, there was a discussion about the changes at the village school. Suddenly, Ajja remembered. "Shankar, Nooni was asking me about the story of Somnayaka, Somanahali and Stepwell. I have told her all I know. You are well versed in history. Is there anything that you can tell us about the Stepwell of Somanahali?" Shankar Master smiled shyly and said, "No, sir, I am not learned as you think. But yes, I loved to read. When I was doing my masters in history, I used to talk a lot about my professor and I'm still in touch with him. When we are chatting other day on Skype, this subject came me up and what he told me was really eye-opener." "What did he tell you?" Ajja asked inquisitively. Ajji overheard the conversation from the kitchen and came out to hear what Shankar Master was going to say. Ajji had never opportunity to go to college, but she was an avid learner and perpetually curious. He said that delta between Varda and Tungabhadra river was ruled by small kings, who were individually called Payela Gararau. They were subordinate kings to an emperor. While they were autonomous to their day-to-day activities, they were obliged to pay tax to the emperor and send their soldiers to join emperor army in case of a war. My professor believes that Somnayaka was one of the Palayagaru. Historians have found many inscriptions from thousand years and where Somnayaka talks about his kingdoms, the temples, the ponds, the mango groves and other places. "Can we read those old inscriptions too? Are they in same Kannada that we use today?" asked Ajja. "No, the script and vocabulary are both different from today's Kannada. It needs expertise." "What does it say?" Ajji shamed him. "The inscription says that Somnayaka, the son of Marnayaka, was a great warrior. He was brave, kind, courageous, and very generous. His kingdom lay in the delta between the rivers Varda and Tungabhadra. There were a thick forest around the area and many wild animals lived in. Somnayaka used to hunt and protect the people and cattle. He was religious and built many temples to Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Veerbhadra and others. He opened a university of higher learning, looked after his teachers, and gave them land. He is believed to have constructed a large tank to help farmers with irrigation and water problems, and he also provided his subjects for drinking water in many areas of kingdom. Is there anything about a step well? Nooni asked interrupted impatiently. There is an inscription that says he had built step wells, including one in Somanahali, which was supposed to be magnificent. The inscription describes a beautiful water body and 7 temples inside the step well. The thing is that the inscription was discovered around 50 miles away from Somanahali. So we don't know if this is the real Somanali or if it was another village that changed its name over a period, or who maybe it was Somanahali in another area. Who knows? But to our knowledge, the marvelous stepwell does not exist. There have been many excavations around this area before, and none have even hinted at its existence. Nooni looked disappointed. Ajji patted her head and said, "Come, come, see what I have made for you, your favorite Raddu." It was enough to distract Nooni. "Oh, please, can I have three?" Nooni pleaded with her grandmother as she followed her to the kitchen. Chapter 8, The Cow's Delivery. When Ajji went to the cattle shed around 10 the next morning, she hurriedly came back and told Savita, called Tayava, "I have a feeling that Kamdhenu is going to deliver today." Nooni was standing on the side and overheard the conversation. She asked, "Ajji, how do you know that?" "I have years of experience taking care of cattle. Earlier this morning, Shikamdhenu did not drink water properly. She hasn't been able to sit comfortably and her stomach is bulging. She is trying to tell me that the time to deliver her calf has come. I'm not going anywhere tomorrow or the day after. Kamdhenu needs me. Child, will you go and inform Sarasu Ajji and my friends and the temple that I won't come until the calf is born?" "Of course, Ajji, I will go in 5 minutes," Nooni replied. Then Ajji turned to Savita and instructed her. "Soak a lot of rice in water, grate coconut and jaggery, and I'll bring some herbs from the garden and you can grind everything together. Then we will take that in a big bowl and offer it to Kamdhenu." "Ajji, why are you feeding that to Kamdhenu? It will help her prepare for the delivery. But if she is about to give birth, we must take her to the animal hospital. You can't take good care of her at home." "No need," Ajay explained patiently. "Our vet comes here only twice a week. That is why I have called Tayava. She is trained to handle deliveries and is equivalent to a vet during these times." As Ajja passed by, Ajji called out to him, "Please make sure that Kamdhenu does not go out to graze with other cows today and arrange for some fresh green grass from the Gomala. We will need the shed properly cleaned so that it is ready for the delivery. Later, I also want a big drum for cleaning up after the calf is born." Ajja nodded. Meanwhile, Ajji hardly cooked anything for a day. There was only roti and one vegetable curry. Her mind was on Kamdhenu. Nooni also wanted to witness the delivery. After she came back from informing Ajji's friend at the temple, she asked her grandmother, "Can I come inside the shed to watch and maybe I can help Tayava and you?" "No, Nooni, this is not the time. You are too small." And Kamdhenu may not like too many people around her. "She is used to Tayava and me. You can sit outside with your grandfather and I will call you as soon as the calf is born." "Okay, Ajji," said Nooni. She knew her grandmother was worried. To distract her, she asked her another question. "Ajji, how did you name three cows?" "Well, the Ganga is the oldest. She is named after our sacred river. Without the river Ganga, India wouldn't have existed. Our ancient scriptures were written and civilization on the banks of the river. Our cow Ganga has become old and doesn't give us any milk anymore, but she will stay with us until she dies because this is her home. Kamdhenu and Basanti are her daughters." "How did Kamdhenu get her name?" Noni asked impatiently. Ajji broke into a smile. "Kamdhenu is the name of a divine cow who gives her owner whatever he asks for. She does the same thing for me. She gives our family plenty of milk and milk products like yogurt, butter, ghee, paneer, and buttermilk." "And what about Basanti?" Ajji laughed heartily. "Basanti is not a traditional name for a cow at all. 30 years ago, your grandfather saw a Hindi movie called Sholay in which the heroine was named Basanti. And since then, he's always been crazy about that name. When you were born, he wanted to name you Basanti, but your parents preferred Anushka. So instead of you, we named the third cow Basanti." Nuni giggled. We have two oxen, Ram and Lakshman. We bought them together from the market when they were young. After lunch, Ajja went to take a nap and Ajji went to cow shed to check on Kamdhenu. Nuni sat in the veranda and started reading a book. Occasionally, she took a break to learn a few words from the dictionary. When Dayava, a dusky old lady wearing a green cotton sari and pallu on her head, arrived, Ajji's face up late and she asked her, Come Dayava, have you eaten yet? If not, I'll bring you something to eat. Today is a big day for Kamdhenu. Dayava smiled and displayed her pan-stained teeth. Amma, I had already lunched. This is Kamdhenu's third delivery. Though she may be experienced by now, we have to help her through the pain. I want to go and see her now. Tayaba went inside the shed with Ajji. Nooni heard them talking to each other through open door and she came running into the shed. Ajji heard her footsteps and closed the bamboo door. Still, Nooni could hear them faintly. I think she will take a few more hours, but not much longer than that. Just pat her and reassure her for some times. Then we will wait outside and monitor her regularly till it's the time. After almost 15 minutes, Ajji and Tayava came out. Ajji, why were you petting Kamdhenu? Nuni accosted her at the door of the cowshed opened. Animals like are human beings, Nuni. When they are in agony, they also feel nice when someone stays with them and pats them. Just like you ask for your mother when you are unwell, they may be not able to talk like us, but they have the same feeling that we do. Amma, will you give me a betel leaf and a areca nut? I enjoy eating palm, said Tayava. I can give you plenty, but don't spoil the shed by spitting all over. Use the sink at the back and spit it there. Aji told her firmly but affectionately. Amma, your house is only the one village that grows both areca nut and betel leaf. That is why I asked for it, added Tayava. Ajji was always neat and clean. Her saris were purely white and she stretched them every day. She combed her hair properly, made a bun, and wore a flower. She hardly wore any ornament, but her broad smile was very attractive. Everything in her house was tidy and well kept. She did not allow any footwear in the house. Nooni knew that Ajji was strict with everyone when it came to cleanliness. Tayava and Ajji settled on a bench near the car, and a few hours passed by as they talked about several things and checked it on the Kamdhenu at intervals. Suddenly there was a loud shriek. Ajja and Tayava rushed inside the cowshed. Nooni wanted to peep through, but she remembered that Ajji's instruction and changed her mind. After some time, Ajji said loudly, Nooni, Kamdhenu has given birth to a baby girl. I will bring her outside so that you can see her. Ajji came out with a small white calf with half closed eyes. It was bigger than Nooni had thought it would be. She wanted to touch her, but Ajji stopped her. Don't do that. Her mother has to lick her and love her first. Go and wash your hand and feet and then come inside the shed. Nooni ran to do the grandmother's bidding. When she came back, she could hear Tayava cleaning the cowshed with a broom. Quietly, Nooni went inside the shed and stood near Kamdhenu, who was licking the baby affectionately. The baby nuzzled her mother's neck and it almost looked as if she was smiling. Chapter 9, Varda Hill. There was a small hillock almost halfway between Somanahali and Varda river. It was called Varda Hill. Nooni had noticed it during the picnic to the river. She knew that every morning, two men gathered cattle from everyone's house and directed to the outskirts of the village. Then they took cows to the Varda Hill where they had plenty of grass for them. The cows usually grazed all day. The men carried their lunches and came back with the cattle in the evening. They returned the cows to their respective owners and sheds before going home for the day. All the animals in the Ajji's cowshed had a bath either in the morning or in the evening. Every animal had a bell of different color. Once the cows left the shed, it was cleaned thoroughly. The shed had cemented floor and it was washed so well that there were no flies or no smell. The water canal was also rinsed and fresh water was stored there again. There was a storeroom containing dry grass and animal feed. Each cow had a small cement placeholder for their feed. Feeding was done through mornings and evening. A few mornings later, Nooni woke up eager to visit the hill and her friends. She told Ajja and Ajji about her plans. Ajja said, "Take along Mahadeva with you. He will take you there safely. Go in the afternoon and come back in the evening." Ajji called Mahadeva and gave him a bag of rice and a box of sugar. "These are for ants and the squirrels," she said. Nooni wondered why her grandmother wanted to give rice and sugar to the little animals. She packed her backpack and excitedly. After lunch, Ajja and Ajji said goodbye to her friends and retired to their room for nap. Nooni's friends met her at the school ground and they began their hike. The weather was warm, but Medha didn't feel the heat. She said that she was used to it. Amit was happy that it was cooler than Delhi. Anand and Mahadeva were indifferent to the heat, but Nooni wanted to protect her head, so she grabbed a hat from her backpack. Then they took a left turn at the main road, and they suddenly saw plenty of trees and the bushes along the road. Mahadeva saw a line of ants marching towards a hole. He took a handful of sugar from Ajji's box and sprinkled it in their way. He told the children, "Please keep an eye out of ants. Whenever you see them, let me know and I will give each of you a handful of sugar so you can give it to them." "Why, Mahadeva?" "It is Ajji's idea. Later, I will also keep a handful of rice under some big trees. That's for the squirrels." Ajji says that when she built their house, many squirrels and ants that lived on her land were displaced from their house. Since then, she likes to feed ants, squirrels, and birds. It is a very noble thought. I think she is a very kind hearted person. Nooni found it amusing but agreed with her grandmother. They saw so many animals that rice and sugar was over in no time. Suddenly, Nooni saw a small, white, cat like animal that whisked past them and disappeared in a second. "What's that?" she asked. "That's a black napped hare. They come out of hibernation this time of year. They are shy and very fast." "Oh, we should have saved some rice for them too," said Anand. As the children walked further, they saw something yellow on the ground. Nooni picked up a twig and touched it. It looked and felt like a wax. "What is this?" she asked. "That is leftover wax from a hive. Nooni, be careful of honeybees. They can sting you badly." "But why would they sting me?" she asked innocently. "If someone troubles you or throws stones at you, you will get irritated, won't you?" In the same way, they don't like it whenever anyone messes with their hives, said Mahadeva. "Nooni, if you stop every second, we won't be able to make it to Varda Hill. Let's move quickly," said Medha, sounding a little annoyed. Nooni nodded and the group started walking faster. Within a few minutes, they realized that the vegetation was thinning. Soon there were no trees at all. There was a plain field with a grass as a tall Nooni and with a small pond in the center. A clear path was marked in the mud and the children quickly marched to it. To a distant spectator, only the children's head bobbing up and down would have visible as they made their way through tall grasses. Within minutes, the group saw a small hillock with a big neem tree at the top. There were small steps leading up to the hill, and other children quickly climbed to the top. From here, they could see their village and Varda River, which was shining like silver and bright in sunlight. It was cool under the shade of neem tree, and children settled down on the some natural stones that worked as makeshift benches. "Why is it called Varda Hill? It should be called One Tree Hill," Noni commented. "There is a story behind this, how this hill was named," said Medha. 70 years ago, there lived a young boy called Varda. He was the son of a rich farmer and was an avid reader. While he was studying in a college of Dharwad, the India was still colonized by British. During that time, Gandhi called the people for the nation to join Quit India movement. Varda wanted to join him, but his parents opposed the idea. After a lot of discussion, he became convinced that the country was more important than parents' wishes and joined the movement. He burned all the silk apparel and switched to khadi clothing. He came every day to the hill and sit here and read. As he became more active in the read movement, he started writing letters about it and sent them everywhere as he could. He helped many people join the movement. The British soldier frequently showed up in the village and searched for him. Sometimes he would hide near the hills
and sometimes he would go away to the forest. Despite the danger, he continued to the helping country, and one until fateful day when he was caught and thrown in the jail. He died here due to the lack of treatment after becoming ill with typhoid. His parents and the entire village mourned him, but they remained proud of his contribution to the national movement. From that day on, people in the village called this spot as Varda Hill. His parents donated their land on which the village high school stands today. The school is named after him too, Varda High School. Every day we march from our school to this hill and hoist the national flag in his memory. Medha felt silent. Amit added, there were many young people of north of our country, such as Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad, who gave their lives for our freedom too. In the Delhi cantonment, the gardens are named after the patriots and the soldiers who died protecting our nation. Amit looked around and asked, why there are any trees here? I only see a grass everywhere. This is our village's Gomala, replied Mahadeva. Since the old days, every village had a Gomala and a Nagbhan. What's that? Noni said. We don't have anything like that in Bangalore. She felt a little conscious of the fact that her knowledge was limited compared of her. I haven't heard about it in Delhi either, added Amit. A gomala is a piece of land that doesn't belong to an individual and isn't used up for sale. It is the village's land and where nothing except grass is allowed to grow. Nobody can cut the grass or take it home. The land usually has a pond too. The grass is for the animals to graze and the water is free for them to drink. So it's like midday meal program? Nooni asked innocently. Everyone laughed. This place reminds me of another story. Anand said softly. In Sindh, the Punjab of undivided India, there was a hillock like this. One day, an English officer was passed by a hill and he brought his horse to halt and local man standing nearby. What is the name of the hill? Mohenjo-daro, the hill of the dead. The man replied. The officer was surprised. Later, someone told him that the reason was named was because there was a lot of skeleton inside the ground in the area. The English officer ordered the excavation of the land, and that's how we found the greatest civilization of them all, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Oh, what if there's a step well buried somewhere here too? Asked Dooney with enthusiasm. Or maybe we'll find something here, just like Vikramaditya's throne, we can find Somnayaka's throne too. What is that? Mahadeva, Amit, Anand, and Medha asked in union. Nooni began. Last year I had gone with my parents to Ujjain. My father was attending a conference there. So while he was busy during his conference day, ma'am and I visited various moments and she told me about lot of her stories. She said that Vikramaditya, long ago there lived a king named Vikramaditya. He was famous for his wisdom. After he died, his place collapsed and over time people forgot about it. After hundreds of years, a man was passing the area when he saw a few young cowherds fighting amongst each other. The boy stopped to watch them. One of the young boys intervened and said playfully, okay, stop fighting. I'll be the judge and solve your dispute. But a judge must sit in a proper place. There was a hillock nearby, and the boy found his way to the top. The other cowherds remained below. As the boy sat on the hilltop, he suddenly became authoritative and quickly resolved the issue. The boy came from the hillock and became playful again. Within a few minutes, there was another dispute among the boys. This time, another boy said, I will be the judge now. He went to top of hillock and passed the correct decision within minutes. The man saw all and this, he said, maybe it's the place where no person and not the person that giving right ruling. Soon he went back to the village only to find a terrible argument going on the panchayat. Since the man was known to be wise, the panchayat looked forward for his advice. The man suggested, come with me, let's go to the hillock nearby, I will give the judgment there. When he made the right decision, everyone was happy and surprised. The man disclosed that observation to the crowd and rumor began that if there's any dispute in the village, all one had to do was to sit on the hillock. Once the word spread and reached to the king of land, who ordered careful unearthing of the hillock. After much digging, a beautiful throne was discovered. People say that it must be the throne of Vikramaditya. Nuni took a deep breath and ended her story. So you see, you never know what lies beneath here. I no wonder what's below this hill. I bet there's something unusual. Nuni, don't get think too much. It's getting late, said Anand. Almost, if on cue, all the children also got up, gathered their belongings, and group began walking to home. Chapter 10: An Unusual Rain. The next few days, after the trip to Varda Hill, they were very hot in Somanahali. Ajja commented, "The weather is really good for mangoes, but such summer days are not going to last long. I am sure it will rain soon. While the rain will settle the dust and cool the temperature down, it is not good news for the farmer." Ajji agreed. "Yes, I think we should finish making pappers before the rain gets here. A few of the women of the village are coming here today so that we can make the pappers together. Once the sky is overcast, the papad won't get sunbaked properly, and if they aren't dry enough, they will develop fungus in the winter." Ajay and Ajji continued their conversation on the weather, but Nooni wasn't really listening. She was thinking about how her parents' conversation seemed to revolve only around how many patients dad had, or how the bank was changing the systems and staffs, or the best classes for her to attend. Her parents had deep discussion about their daughter's future, school or college, and how she could succeed in competitive exams. Nooni sighed. It was really different world out here in the village. Within a few hours, Ajji and the women were rolling the papad dough in the spacious kitchen. Amit, Medha, and Anand came over to play with Nooni, but Ajji had other plans for them. She instructed the three of them to take the papads up to the terrace and place them on the plastic sheets to allow the sun to bake them. Nooni and other children ran up and down from the terrace to the ground floor with papads. Amit and Medha stayed back on the terrace with a stick in their hand, ready to scare away the crows and if they came to lift or disturb the wet papads. When the women weren't looking, Amit, Medha, and Nooni ate the wet papads. To Nooni's surprise, they tasted much better than sun-dried version. When Medha suggested they ask Ajji for some papad dough, Nooni happily agreed. The children requested Ajji, "Please give us some of the papad dough." Ajji was reluctant. "Children, if we bake and papads and store them properly, they will last us for a year. In the rainy and winter season, you can eat fried papads, which will taste excellent with your food." But Nooni insisted, "In any case, you will fry the papad for us later. Ajji, if you give us the dough now, we won't ask you for more." Ajji smiled sweetly and gave them a big bowl of dough to eat. Nooni fell in love with the papad dough. It was more delicious than both the wet and dried papads. She wanted more, but Ajji refused. "Too much of anything is bad. You will stop enjoying it as much if you eat a lot." The children nodded and ran away to play. By afternoon, dark clouds had gathered and sky immediately. Ajji turned to a woman and said, "Stop making the papad. Today isn't the day." She told Anand and Nooni, "Once it starts drizzling, go to the terrace and cover the papads with a plastic sheet. If the rain gets worse, then bring the papads inside and spread them on the balcony." Less than 5 minutes later, it started drizzling. Nooni and Anand ran to cover the papads. But before they were barely halfway through, hail started pouring down. Ajji shouted out to them from the kitchen below, "Bring the papads inside, the hailstorm will destroy them." By the time children started bringing the papads to safety, half were lost in the rain and heavy wind. The hailstorm was so strong that Ajji eventually stopped them. "Leave the papads, children. Stay inside the buildings. I don't want you to get hit by the hailstones. The stones are big as lemons and they will hit you hard. We can always make more papads later." Amit, Medha, Anand, Nooni left the papad where they were and came inside and stood in the balcony that were attached to the terrace. They could still see the rain and feel the gushing wind. The leaves of coconut trees looked like they were dancing vigorously, and the garden in front of the house looked like a pond
filled with rainwater. Nooni was fascinated. She had never seen this kind of storm in Bangalore. She looked up at the scary, thunderous sky. It was dark even though it was just early evening. Soon the terrace was covered with ice ball. Nooni was tempted to go and out to grab some of them. Suddenly, Ajji called out to them, "Children, come down for some bondas and milk." Ajji's food factory is always busy, Nooni thought. She loves cooking, experimenting. She makes varieties of pickle, chutneys, salads, and likes to feed people. When the children came down the stairs, they saw Ajji giving Mahadeva instruction. Close the doors of cattle after checking for leaks and take care of them. The poor animal, they can't even share difficulties with us. Ajja, on the other hand, was sitting with two men in the living room. Noni overheard them talking. It doesn't rain for more than half an hour at time during this season, but this time the wind speed and hailstorm has taken me surprise. I don't think I've ever seen it rain for 2 continuous hours during the summer season. This is so unusual. One of the men commented.
You are right, Ajja agreed. The rain will destroy the mango crop and the vegetables too.
The rain finally stopped after 4 long hours and everyone left for their homes. Though there were no leaks, Nooni could hear the water flowing around the house. She wondered how Varda river must look. For a minute, she thought about grabbing her cycle and biking to the river, but it was already dark and the roads were filled with water. She knew that grandparents wouldn't let her go. So she went to her grandfather and said, "Ajja, don't you think that we should go and see the river right now? I have never seen what a river looks like, a heavy storm, but I have heard it's amazing. If you really want to go to the river, you and your friends can go out with Mahadeva," said Ajja. "Tomorrow there will be less water on the road and Mahadeva can drive you all in our pickup truck. If you want to go get down at the river, walk in the mud, I'll tell him to guide all of you carefully." Ajji, however, was not too excited about the plan. She asked Nooni, "What do you think you are going to see there? The river only has water and I don't want you to get stuck in the mud." "Nooni, when it rains, all the water comes to the road since there is no proper drainage system in our village. Also, the roads are not tarred and the earth absorbs the rainwater and you may end up getting stuck in the mud and it can become very hard for you even to move." But Noni did not listen to Ajji's warning and made up her mind to go to the river anyway. Chapter 11. Is it a stepwell? The next day, the weather was cool, but dark clouds lingered in the sky. Noni told her grandparents, "I'm getting bored at home. I've asked Medha, Amit, and Anand to join me. We are all going to see the Varda river. Ajji, please pack lunch for us. I will help you. We are going to hike today since the roads are not good for cycling after the rain. After our walk, we will go to the farm to play and I will come back in the evening." Ajji was not happy about this development. She said, "Why do you have to go to the river? It may not be the best thing to do right now and it can be dangerous. I know that Mahadeva is with you, but still, can't you sit and read or call your friends home and play here? Why do you always like to go here and there?" But Ajja always encouraged Nooni to explore the outdoors. He said to his wife, "Let her go out. She doesn't have the freedom in Bangalore. You know, children have so much energy. Than us. Pack some samosas, sandwiches, and biscuits for the kids. Nooni, don't forget to fill all your water bottles."
Many people will come to see the river today. It will be the beautiful, but you must not swim or get into the water. You can stand at the mandap to get a good view of the river. I will tell Mahadeva to make sure that you follow my instructions.
Nooni went to the room to get her backpack. She checked her emergency kit. It had her cell phone, a torch, a folding stick, binoculars, a matchbox, a candle, a hat, an umbrella, a notepad and a pen, a small towel, wet wipes, and a small first aid kit given by her father. She always carried the kit whenever she had an outdoor activity planned. Sometimes her friends made fun of her, but she didn't care. She knew it was important. Ajji told Mahadeva, "You must be careful to take care of the kids. I am going for the temple to for puja and will come back only in the evening.
Bring the children home whenever they get bored or tired. Here, take this lunch basket. It is for all of you. I am also going to the farm to take the stock of the havoc created by the rain and the wind. It will take time to clean and get the things in order. I will be back in the evening. Ajja added. Ajji warned Mahadeva. Nuni is adventurous and wants to explore everything. She doesn't know the dangers of our terrain. You'd better take care of her. If she gets hurt, I'll hold you responsible. Soon, Nuni and Mahadeva left the house to meet Amit and Medha and Anand. Nuni didn't understand Ajji's concern. Why was Ajji getting so worried? By the time Mahadeva and Nuni reached the meeting point, the children were already waiting for them. Amit was holding a catapult while Medha was carrying a backpack with paper and colored pencils. She loved sketching and paintings. Anand carried a few small mats and a book in his backpack. So, where are we going today? Asked Medha. We are going to the riverbed, replied Mahadeva. The road from the village to the riverbed is bad and we can get stuck on the way. So let's go to the forest. It will be a long and interesting walk. I'm sure we will find a lot of mangoes, local berries like amla and plenty of jamun on the ground. They are safe to eat. I bet we will see the deer too. Here, seeing a deer is almost as common as seeing a dog in the village street. Nooni's daring spirit burst forth and she said, Let's do that. It will be an adventure. Medha said, Yes, I agree. On the way, I can stop to draw pictures of deers, trees, and the forest. And I can use my catapult. That way, I will get the unspoiled mangoes hanging on the tree. You can take all what you find on the ground. The trees are mine, declared Amit. Anand said, Anything is fine with me. Come on then, said Mahadeva and took the lead. He walked in front of the group with Nooni second and the others right behind her. Though Nooni had gone on some adventures and hikes before, this was a little different. The forest wasn't very thick and there were many native trees, bushes, and local mango trees which were different from the usual hybrid variety. A few mangoes were lying on the ground and Mahadeva picked one. This is a forest mango, he said. How do you know? Asked Nooni. Forest mangoes are the fruits of the native mango trees here. Nobody plants or waters or grafts them. There is no manure or a garden to take care of them. They are small in size and have big seeds and a sour taste. The birds and monkeys in the forest usually eat these mangoes. Nooni picked up another mango from the ground and wiped it with a wet wipe and took a bite. It was extremely sour. Almost instantly, she remembered her father's advice. Don't eat any fruits or vegetables without washing them first. She consoled herself by thinking that the heavy rain must have washed the mango. They walked a little further and Mahadeva saw a plant with tiny, delicate pinkish flowers in their path. Before he could warn, Nooni stepped on it. Suddenly, the leaves of the plant shrank and folded inwards. She was surprised. She touched the plant curiously and same thing happened again. What is this? She asked. This plant is known as Shy Princess of the Forest, said Medha, who was right behind her. I have seen many such plants in the school, added Anand. The biological name for the plant is Mimosa pudica, said Amit. My botany teacher said so, but in English, we can popularly known as Touch Me Not. We call it Mutalla Muruki in Kannada, said Mahadeva. It means don't touch me. Will they remain like this forever? Nooni was curious. No, the leaves will open again after some time. Nooni found its pink flower so attractive that she touched again, but because of her haste, a thorn pricked her. Nooni! Mahadeva shouted. Don't touch any plant in the forest without knowing what they are. Most of the plants know how to protect themselves. If you touch some plants, you may feel afterwards itchy, while other plants may ooze a sticky white gum on your hand. Be careful. Nooni nodded and the group continued walking. After a distance, Nooni stopped and sniffed. There was beautiful aroma in the air. She asked, What is this fragrance? I have never smelled it before. Medha giggled. They were passing under a bakula tree. Nooni, she said, pointing to the tree. This is a bakula tree and its flowers are considered divine. The flower isn't very attractive, but the fragrance is to die for. Even its dry flowers give the same smell. If you go to Ajji's cupboard, you will see a string of dried bakula flowers in there. All the women in the village keep bakula flowers in the starries because it helps ward off the insect. Nooni felt humbled. She knew very little as compared to Medha and Anand when it came to nature and its mysteries. The children continued on their way. The terrain was definitely better than taking the main road. Though there were a little mud, there were enough stones for them to jump on and walk on. Look at that! Exclaimed Mahadeva. Shh! Don't talk! The children saw two birds chirping away. A minute later, they were sharing some guava. Nooni asked ever so softly, "What are those?" But she wasn't quiet enough. Her whisper was loud and Mina, the birds, flew away. They are Maina birds. Haven't you read the story about Maina birds? Asked Anand. No, said Noori, suddenly angry that her friends seemed to know so much about these birds. Myna birds are also known as lover birds. If one dies, the other also dies. They are said to mate for life. And if you see a myna bird in the morning, people say that the day will be lucky for you. After that, no one spoke for a long time. There was just the sounds of forest along with the quiet footsteps. Look at that, whispered Mahadeva and pointed to a big bird sitting alone on the top of the tree. That is Ratna Pakshi, said Amit. How do you know? I've seen them in my backyard in Delhi. We live in the cantonment area where there are a lot of trees and birds. My mother says that if you see a Ratna Pakshi, you will definitely eat some dessert that day. Suddenly, children stumbled onto a group of deer who vanished the moment they heard them. Nooni was very sad. I wish I could have seen them properly. Don't worry, Nooni. You will see a lot of them. This is not the end of our journey. Deers are very sensitive animal and they run very fast. If you move quietly, you will eventually see them. There is a variety of deer in this forest. Some are dotted and some have beautiful antlers and they are vegetarian, said Anand kindly. Do the deer come in the village? Rarely, but I have seen them in our school during the summer. They usually come to eat the vegetables from the kitchen garden in my school, said Anand. Does the school management get upset when they eat your vegetables? Asked Nooni. No, nobody stops them. My grandfather says that the lands belong to the deers too, so we should let them eat whatever they want. A few students have built a small pond for the deers to drink clean water. In fact, we have also dug a small pit and put salt in it. Why would you do that? Deers love salt, so they come to lick the salty mud. Anand replied. As they walked further, Nooni noticed a strangely beautiful green creeper ahead of them. Mahadeva stopped near it and showed the group the chiguru or the front portion of the vine. He cut it with a knife and offered a little bit to all of the children. Hesitantly, Nooni bit it and into it and exclaimed, "Oh, it is very sour but very yummy. What is it called?" Everyone was blank. Maybe this is a forest creeper without a name, said Medha. I have never seen it anywhere, asked Amit. Anand said, I have never noticed this creeper, even though I have come to the forest many times. Is it a special plant? Yes, it's special, explained Mahadeva. This is the creeper that gives us the shikakai fruit. Shikakai? Asked Amit and Nooni in union. Yes, when you dry and powder shikakai, it can be used as shampoo. Even Ajji uses shikakai to use powder to wash her hair. In the olden days, you didn't get shampoos in the market, so this was used as natural shampoo since it was excellent for hairs. Sometimes people use the fruits to make soaps too. Nooni said, Yes, Ajji has a box of shikakai powder in bathroom. She washed my hair with a few days ago. It made my hair really soft and nice smelling. Even indoor Ajji uses an orange color bar of shikakai soap. But my mother always uses shampoo and conditioner, just like me. I didn't know I could wash my hair with the powder that came from food. Isn't that just genius? What's so great about this creeper? Asked Anand, interrupting Nooni. Pregnant deer love to eat chiguru because it contains natural iron and many vitamins that are needed for their unborn baby, answered and Mahadeva. Animals don't talk, but they are very intelligent, aren't they? Can we eat some more chiguru? Asked Nooni. No, let's not. This is meant for deers and we aren't their home. After all, the creeper grows very slowly and I think we should leave the rest of the pregnant deer. Well, then I can eat the fruit. Where can I get more of it? Fruits grow on the creeper every alternate year. People collect the fruit once they fall on the ground and they make the powder of it and use it. Nooni looked at Mahadeva with admiration. He was walking encyclopedia. Do you all want to walk more or do you want to rest for some time? Asked Mahadeva. Let us walk a little further and find a better spot with some shade. You must have come this way many times. Mahadeva, can you find a nice place for us to rest? Yes, there are many paths through the forest, but fewer people travel this route. There is a soap nut under tree and with plenty of shade. Let's go and sit down there. What is a soap nut tree? Asked Nooni. She seemed to have unending list of questions and tremendous energy. But Amit, Medha and Anand were tired to reply. Mahadeva said affectionately, it is a local tree called Antalkai. If you soak the sticky fruits of the trees in warm water, then the water can be used as a mild detergent or a shower gel. A lot of women wash their silk fabrics with it because the solution does not discolor the garment and gives a nice sheen to silk. Is it like a genteel? Asked Nooni. I don't know what genteel means, but the solution is gentle for sure. Less than 10 steps ahead, Nooni encountered with a looked like a beetle plant. Who planted this? Nobody plants anything in the forest. Sometimes the birds or the wind carry seeds, and other times it is the rain or the water on the ground. Even animals like monkey happily eat the fruit and drop the seeds here and there, said Mahadeva. But this is pan, isn't it? Can I eat it? We can't eat pan directly like this, silly. And this is not pan. I know what it looks like, but it is like a leaf of black pepper plant. When chilies did not exist in our country, black pepper was used as the main spice in cooking. What do you mean? We didn't have chilies in our country. Nooni was aghast at the thought. Chili is used in North and South Indian food. I think you should start reading a lot more about these things, Nooni. You will then learn about a history of chili and who founded it to India. Guava, papaya, potato, onion, garlic, custard apple, apple. The lessons of history to be learned from these fruits are endless, said Anand. By then, the group had reached the soap nut tree and they all sat down to relax. It was a little afternoon. Nooni was looking everywhere curiously. She saw a large mushroom on the ground and was thrilled. Hey, I have never seen such a large mushroom in the vegetable shop. Can we cut it and take home for Ajji to cook? I love mushrooms. Medha went to the mushroom and examined closely. Nooni, this is not edible mushroom. Not all mushrooms can be eaten. Some are poisonous. Be careful and don't eat anything without checking with us first. But Nooni wanted to see more of the forest. It was as if a new world had opened up to her. As everyone settled down, Mahadeva started distributing water and fruits, but Nooni didn't want to eat what Ajji had given them. She saw a shrub with wild berries at a short distance and asked, Can I pick those berries? Oh, you will have to walk on that mud, Nooni. You'd better be careful, warned Mahadeva as he also sat down to eat and drink. Nooni started walking on the mud path towards the shrub. Just as she was about to reach the shrub, she panicked. Her shoes seemed to be stuck. She pulled with all her might but couldn't move. A few seconds later, she felt herself sink and the mud went up to her ankles. The more she tried to get free, the more she sank. Finally, she shouted, Medha, Mahadeva, please help me. I am sinking. Everyone came running to her. Mahadeva stopped everyone a few feet away. Don't go there. If you also start sinking, then I can't pull everyone out by myself.
Listen to me. I will grab Nooni's hand and pull out her, and while you hold me and pull back. With a lot of effort, Mahadeva pulled Nooni out. But her boot remained stuck. While Mahadeva was catching his breath, Nooni stared down at the mud. It kept falling down even though she was no longer there. She didn't understand why was it happening. Abruptly, she said, "Wait a minute, there's something else there, which is why the mud won't stop falling. Why don't we see what's inside?" "Come on, Nooni, are you crazy?" said Medha. "Please, Medha, let's see what down there. It's probably just a pit. There are so many pits in the forest, and if we keep stopping and check them out, we will never reach the river." But Nooni wasn't really listening to them anymore. She suddenly caught off her boot. "I want my boot back. How can I walk without them?" "But Nooni, they are very dirty and I don't want to go there again." Mahadeva sounded a little annoyed. Nooni brushed past him and walked barefoot towards her boot. She stopped a little distance away when she saw that they were stuck under a rock. "Will you help me move this rock so that I can grab my boot?" she requested Mahadeva, knowing that he was the strongest of them all. "Nooni, I think the rock is too big for me and I don't want to get close to the falling mud." "Mahadeva, just look here. The mud is slipping inside the hole quickly. If we wait for so much longer, my boots will also fall inside," Noni insisted. Noni lay on her tummy and grabbed her boots. Her clothes became muddy, but she didn't care. She just wanted to get her boot back. Mahadeva caught hold of her legs and shouted aloud, "Pull, Noni, pull! We are holding too!" The three other children joined Mahadeva and kept a firm hold on Noni as she tried to pull her boots out from the rock. "Har har Mahadev!" yelled Noni. Amit said, "Dam laga ke haisha!" The rock moved slowly and Noni managed to get a hold of her boot. Mahadeva and the children pulled her back as she watched the rock begin to incline. In less than a minute, it fell down into the pit along with the slimy mud. Nooni stood where she was, motionless. "Let's get out of here." "No, please let's not go anywhere," exclaimed Nooni. She took her torch out of the backpack and switched it on. "There is something below the ground and it isn't a pit. I just know it. I'm going to go and check." "Nooni, I know what you listen to plenty of story from Ajji. She is wonderful storyteller and the whole village love listening to her. But that doesn't mean that there is a palace of some princess below this stone," said Medha. "This has nothing to do with Ajji." Noori shone her torch at the pit from a distance. "I think I can see a path here. I'm going in." "Are you mad? There may be snakes down there. I'm scared," said Medha. "Who knows where the pit ends? Who will pull us out if we get stuck? This could lead to anything. I don't want to get in trouble," exclaimed Anand. Once Noni decided to do something, nothing could stop her. She looked at Mahadeva pleadingly. "If you are ready to help me, I will go inside. If I get stuck, Medha, Amit and Anand can use my cell phone to call for help. And if there's no network, they can run back to the village and inform everyone. Mahadeva, I would like you to come with me, but if you don't want, it's okay. Then I will go by myself and you can help me climb out later." Mahadeva could see the determination in her eyes. She may not know much about birds, animals, forest, but she was adventurous, loved experimenting with new things and exploring unknown. "The worst that can happen is that we get stuck in the pit," he thought. He smiled at Nooni and said, "I will help you, but let's do that sensibly." He looked around and saw a long wooden branch. He used the branch to put a big stone inside. The stone fell and hit the bottom with a thud. A little more mud fell inside. Mahadeva took two more branches and slowly descended them into the pit. He figured that branches may help them find their way around or climb out later. Noni followed him confidently with her backpack behind her. Finally, they were standing on together on what seemed like a step in a staircase. There was a cave-like structure with a small opening ahead of them. Only tiny Nooni would be able to get in. She removed her backpack and braved squeezily in into the opening of into the opening as Mahadeva watched her. "Be careful, Nooni. We don't know what is inside. Do you have another torch? What about a matchbox?" Nooni remembered the matchbox and the cell phone inside her backpack. She said quietly,
I can't turn around now, so you will have to help me. Take the matchbox out of my bag and light a matchstick, or you can use my torch. I also have a three-fold stick. Pass it to me. I can use it to poke a few holes here and there. Maybe the mud will move a little bit, so there's some place for you as well. Mahadeva handed Noni the stick. Within a shot of poking, she was able to make a space for Mahadeva to get in. They lit a matchstick and saw a black pillar on the side. Then they looked at it closely using a torch. Though the pillar was only exposed partially with beautiful designs, the rest of the pillar was covered with mud, sands, and stone. They tried to explore some more but couldn't make their way further. Finally, Looney said, "We can't do this by ourselves, Mahadeva. Let's widen the hole on the top so Amit, Medha can also get in." Slowly, Nooni started climbing up the pit. Amit, Medha, and Anand were silently sitting under a tree and waiting. They looked worried and scared. When they saw Nooni's cheerful face with her head full of mud, they realized that she was safe. They rushed to give her a hand and pulled her out. Mahadeva was right behind her head. Nooni said happily, "We saw a beautiful carved pillar and I bet there are more of them." "Really? I want to see it too," added Amit. "But we can't explore further without the right instruments." "What should we do?" asked Mahadeva. "Tell me, how far we are from the farm?" asked Nooni. "Not very far, it's on the other side of the rivulet," said Mahadeva. "I can show you a shortcut to get there. Firstly, we need to clean ourselves and remove the mud. Once we reach the farm, I can take you to the extra room where Ajja keeps farming equipments such as shovels, picks, metal baskets, brooms, and ropes. Let us bring some of them here. We won't tell Ajji or Ajja what we are doing now, or else they will definitely stop us. I will tell my grandparents about this in evening. So, do you all agree with me? And shall we do this on own?" Nooni looked at each other. They didn't know what to say. Nooni stepped up to be their leader and said, "Listen to me now. Don't be scared. Nothing will happen to us. Come, let's have an adventure." The children decided to take the shortcut and reached the rivulet. The rainwater came up to their knees because of the rain. They all took a dip in water and cleaned themselves. Then they crossed the rivulet and reached the farm. Nooni was right there with plenty of farming equipment available. They quickly picked up whatever they needed and went back to the pit. It was almost 2 p.m. and the sun was shining brightest in the sky. Nooni knew that her grandparents were busy for the day and that nobody would notice her long absence. Mahadeva suggested, "If we all work together, this may take only 2 or 3 hours." Then he took a pick and started removing the mud near the top of the pit. Nooni, Medha, Anand, and Amit gathered the mud and started placing it the side. Mahadeva was fast, and within a half hour, there was a big hole on the top. Now all of them could go in. When they went inside the pit, they saw another half buried pillar. Mahadeva said, "I will collect the rubble and you can spread it out. Help me throw the rubble outside the pit." Mahadeva got in first, followed by Nooni, Amit, Medha, and Anand. Nooni lit a candle and put it on a stone. In the dim light, Mahadeva collected the rubble with a shovel, put it in a basket, and passed the basket to Nooni. She passed it to Amit, who passed it to Medha, and then Anand took it and threw outside the pit. They kept cleaning out the rubble almost 2-3 hours. Finally, the children uncovered 3 steps. As soon as it started getting dark, all of them came out the pit drenched in mud and dust. "I can't go home like this," Medha whined. "My mother will ask me a lot of questions." "Don't worry, Medha. Let's go to the rivulet and clean up. By the time we reach home, our clothes will be dry." "A good wind will dry the clothes even faster," commented Anand. They rushed to the rivulet and cleaned up quickly. On their way back to the village, Nooni asked, "Can we go there and also clean up?" "Why do you want to do that?" questioned Amit. "The 5 of us can't take on such big tasks ourselves," added Anand. "We did it today because you were insistent, and what we will get by doing this?" asked Medha. "I've heard from Ajji that there's a step well near our village." Then I heard a slightly different version from Ajji's Anand and Anand's father. "Who knows? Maybe this is the same step well that everyone is talking about. Wouldn't it be awesome if we unearthed it?" I don't know whether it's a step well here or not, but either way, we are children and we can't do or handle such a big project on own. We have to tell grown ups. I agree, said Mahadeva. I know I can work hard, but even I think this structure is too big for one person to work on. And what if we find poisonous snake between the rock? What will we do then? Can we get a bulldozer and unearth it? Suggested Amit, and say having seen a plenty of bulldozers in cantonment. There is hardly any place to walk, and so you can forget about getting a bulldozer here. Laughed Mahadeva. Nooni said, in that case, don't mention this to anyone in your home. First, I will talk to Ajja and tell Hill about what we have seen. I have faith in him. I am sure he won't refuse any my request without a good reason. Finally, they all reached home. Their families thought they had only gone to the river, so they didn't worry much about the semi-wet cloth. Nooni had a bath and changed her clothes. When Ajji went for her evening prayers to the other room, Nooni went and sat next to Ajja. He had a long, tiring day for cleaning. When he saw her, he said, "Oh, Nooni, all our vegetables had washed away, and a few banana trees have fallen, along with the tender coconut because of the heavy wind. The mangoes are in most terrible state. Only a few of them are left, but there are plenty of raw ones. Your Ajji can make mango pickle for entire village for several years." Laughed Ajja Aha loudly despite the ugly situation on the farm. What about the jasmine and champak in Ajji's garden? Nooni asked. Well, surprisingly, they have survived. It is strange about how the smallest of things can survive in these calamities. Ajja, I want to talk to you about something. I am sure that you won't get upset with me. Nooni took a deep breath and said that Ajja about everything that happened that day. Ajja was surprised. Nooni, I think all of you have done a really commendable job. Who else knows about this? Just Mahadeva and my friends. We haven't told anyone except you. Keep it that way. I will call our panchayat head, Hanumani Gowda, and will tell about what you all have found. I will also inform Shankar Master about it. This is such a good news. He was excited. Ajji had finished her prayers by then was overheard Ajja when she was passing by. What's happening? Why are you sending messages to Hanuman Goda and Shankar Master at that time of the evening? Is this something urgent? Yes, I think it is. Your granddaughter has found some temple's ruins or maybe even a stepwell. I always thought about that stepwell incident was just a story. Now I'm beginning to wonder. Ajji was even more ecstatic than Ajja. I knew it. I knew that the stepwell was to found me one day. In her excitement, Ajji forgot to light the evening lamp in the puja room. In a short while, Shankar Master and Hanuman Goda joined them. Anand walked behind his father. Mahadeva was already helping Ajji with a few jobs. All of them sat in the veranda. Hanuman Goda, who was in his late 30s, was an energetic person. Though he was educated, he had not looked for a job in the city. Instead, he had started a greenhouse in Somanahali and grew graperas and gladiolas of different colors and sent them to Bangalore. He also looked after his father's field. He had good business sense and was instrumental in ensuring that a bus from Haveri came to village 3 times a day. Toilets were built in all houses and village under his leadership. Ajji held him a high regard. Now, Nooni, Ajja said, tell us exactly what happened today. Nooni repeated the entire story. Mahadeva and Anand listened to her and added to the story every now and then. After Nooni stopped talking, Shankar Master said, if it is really a ruin, then we have to inform about the archaeology department about the discovery. They will send the people to check the ruins, but the whole process will take time. This is our land and the ruin belongs to our land. We can't keep waiting for someone from archaeology department and guide for us. Those people will take their own sweet time. We should at least start the process, stated Hanume Goda with enthusiasm. That is true. However, this is our duty to inform them. We can always start the work on the outside, but we may be careful not to destroy or spoil anything inside. It is an offense to do so. When the world get think about our project, some will think that money is hidden in the ruins, said Hanume Goda, trying to analyze aspects of the situation. Some might even come to find the dig the ground and in the process, trying to find the money, they will destroy the ruins. There are 400 people in the village. Let's talk to the many people as we can and choose a few strong and good men for security. We will tell them that they may not or maybe money in the project, but that this place could get a historical significance. It belongs to our village and we should be proud of it. In the unlikely event we find any wealth at all, we will give it to the government accordance with our current law. Suddenly, Hanume Goda swung into action and his tone changed. Shankar Master, you will be in the charge of this project until the archaeologists come, and we will arrange 24-hour security with more people guarding the place at night. Ajay interrupted. Do you think that this is a really step well? No one can say for sure at this point, replied Shankar Master. Their children may think that they have seen steps, but this may not be stone. It just could be a rubble or flat pieces of stone. Let's not jump to any conclusion before we know more. When should we start the work? Inquired Acha. We will start tomorrow, said Hanume Goda. Shankar Master, can you find out the archaeology department we should contact and who our contact person will be? I will call up and talk directly to him or her. If it comes under Bangalore jurisdiction, then I can tell my son to find out more, Ajja said. I'll have to Google and see what I can find out. I'll go and check the internet, said Shankar Master, and stood up. If the internet is not working, Shankar Master, then call me. I will come and drop you at the cyber cafe at Taluka. It will definitely work there. Let's move fast, said Hanume Goda and left in hurry. After that, nobody wanted to eat the dinner. They were still too excited. Ajja called Archaeologist Shekhar. Son, do you know anyone in the archaeology department in Bangalore? Appa, what is a strange question? I am not a history student nor am active with museums. How do you expect me to know anyone? You may not know, but maybe some of your patients do. Why? What's the matter? Ajja repeated the days happening and Shekhar became immediately concerned. Appa, how could you have allowed Nooni to go out alone with her friends? What if something happened to her? Nooni is a free spirit and we can't restrict her from going out and exploring the world. Don't be impractical. She loves learning and seeing new things, wants to discover the things on her own. Everyone is proud of her. Noni heard her grandfather talking and took the phone from him. She told her father, Dad, stop worrying about me and don't get upset with Ajja. I wasn't alone. I had 4 friends with me. Spending time here in your village is more fun than going to summer classes. I have learned so much about the birds, forest, animals, trees, leaves, and birds. I am enjoying every day here. Dad, will you please help Ajja? I am hoping that our discovery turns out to be a step well. What are you talking about? What step well? Shekhar didn't understand a thing. Ajji grabbed the phone and said, Shekhar, you won't understand because you don't believe. If the ruins are indeed a step well, then you will realize what Nooni has done for this village. So, if you think of someone and can connect your father with him, it would be really nice, she concluded. Nooni took the phone back and said, Dad, my birthday is coming up this month and I want you to give me a gift. Please don't say no. You don't have to take me to a mall, restaurant, or a shop, and I don't need dresses, DVD, or toys or books. I only need that you connect to someone who can help us take this place as early as possible. You have many friends in Bangalore. Surely, you know someone who can help us. I will never forget this birthday gift. Please, Dad, please. Shekhar was speechless and gently said goodbye. After an hour, he called back and told Nooni, I had a patient named Abdul Rashid, and from what I was able to recollect, he heads the archaeological department in Bangalore. I called him, but he asked me for many details and I didn't know what to tell him. He's a good and knowledgeable man. Here, take down this number. You can connect to him and give him all the details. I hope you are happy now, Nooni. Chapter 12, The Excavation. Somehow the news spread like wildfire that night, and the next morning, many men and women gathered at the site with digging equipment in hand. Shankar Master, who was already at the site, instructed everyone, Be careful, remove the mud gently. The first task is to make a small path so that we can move around easily and maybe fit in a luggage auto as well. The work began in full swing. The sun was getting warmer and soon it started getting hot. Meanwhile, Ajji called for a meeting at home with the women of the village. After everyone arrived, she suggested, No one is paying the men and women to help in the work at the site.
The least is we can do is to provide them with good food and water. We should give them breakfast, lunch, and drinks like buttermilk and tea. If you all agree with me, I will convert my backyard into a makeshift kitchen. I will request all of you to come in the morning so that we can divide the work every day. One group can cut vegetables, another can cook, while others can carry food and distribute it at the site. I want everyone to be involved. The children can give everyone drinking water and collect the garbage. Let's not use plastic plates. I will get some banana leaves from our farm and the workers can eat on them. We will make different things for lunch around 3 vegetables and rice, jawar rotis and chapatis. Maybe we can restrict the rice so that people don't feel sleepy late while they work. Noni was surprised. Ajji had turned into commander of an army and was spewing orders to everyone. She seemed to have forgotten about the aches in her knee. The children decided to separate into two groups. Some of them wanted to stay at Ajji's house and help, while others, including Noni and her friends, wanted to help at the site. When Noni reached the site, she was glad to find everyone happy and excited. The environment was almost festive. Someone had already set up a shamiana and plastic chair for people to sit. Ajja was the first one to sit there and watch proceedings keenly. Hanumai Gowda monitored everyone and Shankar Master came now and then to get Ajja's advice and opinion on the work being done. Amit and a few others were in charge of garbage collection, while Nooni was responsible for distributing the water bottles. Medha started down at distance and started working on new sketches. An hour later, Abdul Rashid phoned Shankar Master and said, "It will take a few days to get permission from the state. I have made calls for central government too. But while government follows its process, I have decided to come to your village along with four of my assistants so that we can work unofficially. The summer season is the best for an excavation, and I want to begin now rather than late when its rainy season begins to. Unfortunately, we don't have budget allocated for the project yet. That is my concern." Shankar Master handed phone to Ajja, who said, "Please come. We don't want to delay this project under any circumstances. I have an additional house where you and your assistants can stay. We will take complete care of your accommodation, but I request you to bring your instrument since we may not have right tools for you here. If we can help you by escalating this to someone else, let me know so that we can try and talk to them through Hanume Gowda. We have already started clearing up the area, but we won't excavate or touch anything until your team gets here." Abdul Rashid was pleased with Ajja's answer and promised to come as soon as he could. Within 2 days, the workers had removed much mud that they could see some pillars and steps. A few men created a shelter, and Ajji, her team, provided dinner and a few Petromax lanterns for the men who stayed back at night to guard the site. The next morning, Abdul Rashid drove into Ajja's driveway with a big van and four assistants, two men and two women. Ajja unlocked the house that they used for guests and ensured that it was clean. He offered the place to Abdul and the two men and told the woman to stay upstairs in his own house. That afternoon, the excavation team visited the site. They were surprised to see the interest help being provided by everyone in village. Hanmai Goda, we said, we won't be able to help you with money, but we can provide you as many helpers you want. We will work honestly and to best of our ability because this site belongs to our village. Abdul Rashid was in late 30s and had lived in many places in Karnataka because of his transferred job. He was experienced and well versed in history. He looked around the site and said, "If you can get more volunteers, then we can finish the job in a short period of time. I am so happy to see the village work as a team. I rarely see such unity in my line of work. Most people think that it is government's job and disconnect themselves from the job." Ajay and Hanumai Goda smiled. They were proud of their community and their village. Then Abdul Rashid's team started unpacking their toolkits. All the children gathered around them curiously. The team took out a few brushes and some instruments. One of the men began taking the measurement while others started clicking away with his camera. Under their instruction, the workers removed more of the rubble and continued the work with the entire day. At the later night during dinner, Ajji asked, "Rashid Sahib, what do you think? Are there any chances of stepwell?" "No, Amma, I can't tell you for sure. At least not until we have worked for a week. But the monument seems to be untouched and I know it is going for a beautiful building. For the next few weeks, Rashid's team toiled tirelessly. In time, they uncovered more steps and pillars, but the most exciting discovery was the small temples between the pillars. The real work began from the top to bottom, just like any other excavation. The team was keen to see if they would find coins, earthenwares, skeletons, gold, inscriptions, or copper plates. Coins would indicate the time or era of the construction. Coins would also give information about the ruler or the wealth of the land. Some inscriptions would give more detail about the temple, when it was built, or in whose memory it was constructed. As they brushed out the details, 16 pillars were discovered on first floor. Every pillar was carved out black stone and was different in design. The polish was so immaculate that it seems that it had been done in recent time, almost like it had been done by machine. How did they do such polish in those days when there were no machines at all? Shankar Master wondered. It is all hand polish, said one of the Rashid's team. In those days, people worked with different techniques that have been long forgotten now. The reason that they spent so much time on it is that money wasn't their only motivation. They thought about that they were building something beautiful for God. So they did this with sincerity and devotion. Within a few more days, it was clear structure that was rectangular and opened up to the sky. What this could be? Asked Ajja. I think it is a well. If it is a complete temple, then it had definitely a roof, said Abdul Rashid. The first small temple was in corner of the large platform and faced eastwards. There were well laid out steps and hand railings on both the side of platform. The temple itself was a small and the name of deity was written on top. Chandrasekhar and Sailja. Different name of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. Rashid scanned the script of the letter and concluded that the temple would be at least 1,000 years old. The platform molded a wall, a running storyline. The first story was of Lord Shiva killing an elephant, demon, and dancing. After a few days, the second platform became visible. It had another temple, that of goddess Saraswati, holding a book and a veera. Saraswati was written on the top, and there was a pictorial description of her poses on the wall. By now, 6 weeks had passed since Nooni's arrival. Usha was going to be back in Bangalore the next day. She told Nooni, as soon as I come back, reach Bangalore, I am going to come to Somanahali and bring you back. I have really missed you. Even Shekhar had missed Nooni. He hated silence in the house after a hard day of work in the hospital. After Usha reached Bangalore, she called Ajja and Ajji and said, Shekhar and I will come Somanahali the day after tomorrow. Will you please that Nooni is ready to leave by then? We will really miss Nooni, but I think that you should ask her yourself about when she wants to return. Our village is midst of the temple excavation. Usha was surprised. I thought that there was a minor archaeology work going on. Why is whole village involved? I would like to see the excavation too. Noni heard everything but didn't know what to tell her parents. She didn't want to go back yet. After 2 days, Usha and Shekhar arrived at the village. As usual, Shekhar told his father, we are only here for half day, we'll leave in afternoon. Usha hurriedly went to look Nooni inside the house but couldn't find her. When she went to Ajji's bedroom, she was startled that Nooni had packed not her bags yet. Ajji saw her disappointed face and suggested, why don't you go to see and Nooni at the excavation site? Both Shekhar and Usha rushed to the site. They were surprised to see the number of activities going on. People were cleaning, fetching water, writing notes, and some were gently brushing the statues with soft brushes. The location was very clean and luggage auto was transporting food. Finally, Usha saw Nooni. She was very busy collecting garbage and putting it in a plastic bag. When she saw her mother, her face lit up with joy. She quickly washed her face and hands in the water tank nearby and ran towards her mother and hugged her. Usha said happily, Nooni, even though I was in Delhi, my mind was always here. I really missed you. I've got you some nice dresses and some quiz books from Delhi. I've also bought some gifts for your friends. While talking to Nooni, Usha's eye fell on the structure and its stunning ornate steps. Oh my god! I never thought that this would be so beautiful. Amma, go and talk to Rashid uncle. He can tell you a lot more, Nooni said. Usha immediately walked across to Abdul Rashid. Meanwhile, the Shekhar was even more surprised. He was never able to understand the enthusiasm of discovering something from the past. So, what if the temple has been buried for 1,000 years? Maybe, he thought. All small incidents get a lot importance in a village. Here, people have more time on their hands than in city. There is usually no rush to do anything except getting to the school or post office on time. In such a laser based atmosphere, this break from people's routine must have distracted everyone. Where is the time to do all this place in Bangalore, where we have to save every minute for travel or travel? Besides, the city has become so cosmopolitan that it belongs to everybody and nobody at all the same time. After talking to Usha, Abdul Rashid came to meet Shekhar. He greeted the doctor and said, "Sir, I am really touched by your father's generosity. He supplies coconut water to all of us every day, and in afternoon, your mother sends us food and buttermilk. Since the excavation began, none of the cucumbers of your farms have been sold. They all have been used by the people here who have been toiling with us for weeks. Your parents are generous to a fault. Thanks to wonderful people here, we haven't hire any security guards. Moreover, this is a good break for me. I have instructed everyone not to inform the media until the excavation is complete, or else reporters will gather here and ask questions that we don't have to answer yet." Shekhar did not know what to say and simply nodded. Then he turned to Nooni and said, "Go home and get ready. We have to leave for Bangalore in 2 hours." "No, Dad, I don't want to go back yet. I want to stay until the excavation is complete. Please, I want to see if the water that Ajji talked about in the story is actually here." "Nooni, come on, it's just a story." Then Shekhar asked Rashid, "Mr. Abdul, how much more time will the excavation take?" "Around 3 more weeks." "Dad," Nooni interrupted, "I have holiday for 4 more weeks and I am very happy here. Let me see the complete temple and finish my holidays here. I promise I will come back as soon as it is done." By then, Usha also joined them. She put her hand on husband's arm and said, "Shekhar, there are so many things about life that you can't learn from the books. I think that this experience is one of them." And Nooni had also worked hard for this project. "I don't mind staying here for a few days with her." Shekhar smiled and gave in to his wife and daughter. Days later, Abdul Rashid and his team traced the third temple of Lord Vishnu with his wife, Lakshmi. Vishnu was sleeping on a serpent, and Lakshmi sat here with his feet. The temple was known as Anantashainam. The story on the platform was a part of the Ramayana. Soon the temple uncovered the fourth temple. It was a temple of Ram, Lakshmana, and Sita. And the storyline described Sita's stay in Ashokvan, the bridge built by the monkey army, and Rama's eventual coronation. The next day, it was a turn of fifth temple, dedicated to Hanuman. It depicted how Hanuman opening his heart to show Lord Ram residing it. The story of Hanuman's childhood and how he flew to sun god to eat him appeared in the corridor. The sixth temple belonged to the 16-handed Durga in act of killing the demon Mahishasur, while the platform told the story of Durga and Parvati. Lord Ganesha was in dancing pose in the seventh temple. He had a big stomach and was holding laddus in one hand, while the second had carried a book. His other two hands held weapons. According to his story, the line performed. The last temple had the statue of goddess Ganga. She held a big pot in her hand. Along the platform was the story of churning of the sea. At the bottom of the well, there was a cow face. That night, Ajja developed high fever and was unable to get out of bed. Ajji gave him some home remedies, but they didn't help. Ajji advised him not to go to the site next morning. Ajja refused him to listen her and somehow made his way there. But Abdul Rashid sent him back. The fever continued for days and Ajji became very concerned. She called a person and said, "Shekhar, your father has high fever for last 3 days. I want to take him to the hospital in the town nearby. What medicine should I give him?" "Amma, first have his blood tested. So if it is a viral infection or not. These days, Bangalore has all sort of diseases.
like swine flu, chikungunya, and dengue fever. I don't want to scare you. It is better to start treatment early for him. He must come here to Bangalore so can I take good care of him. Ajja came on the line and refused outright. I can't travel in this state. Why can't you come here tomorrow? Appa, I have some patients to take care. Ajji took the phone from Ajja and said, if you have patients, then you must also have assistants. This is for your father. For God's sake, come here and examine him. The Shekhar reached Somanahali mid-morning. The next day, once he was there, he found many people in the village displaying same symptom as Ajja's. So he despaired what he could do. He asked his mother, what happened to the primary health center? The doctor had gone to vacation. There is nobody here whom we can run into times of crisis. I request you, please come to the village regularly and take care of people like us. You come from this village too and you can understand the people here. Think about it. You will be doing something for us at a great service. Shekhar did not say anything and left for Bangalore. By now, 2.5 weeks had already passed, and the structure was ready for viewing. There were eight beautiful temples in all and 21 steps from the ground to the bottom of the well. But there was no pond in the water in the pond. This was a step well without water. So one came to the confusion that they had heard about the step well was true, except was one small distance. There were small shrines, and not all of them were of Lord Shiva. Nooni asked about Lord Abdul Rashid. Amma says that Lord Ganesha is always first when initiating something new. Then why he is at the bottom of the step well in this case? Shouldn't he be on the top? No, he replied. My child, since the water source is at the bottom, the water will touch Ganpati first. Nooni nodded. She finally understood that the logic behind placing Lord Ganesha where he was. There were many inscriptions on the steps and the walls of the structure. Abdul Rashid translated the script loudly for everyone to hear. This great step well is built by the king Somnayaka in 100 CE. Hindu calendar date 922 of Shailvahan Saka. Somnayaka believes in all gods. He had built this temple in the memory of his late father who died in the battle with Ganga dynasty. The temple has taken 10 years to be built with the cooperation of best artisans in the land. The step well should be only used for the purpose of obtaining drinking water, and on full moon nights the temple must be closed for repair and maintenance. Somnayaka has donated 100 acres of land to several people. The entire stretch of land has been divided into 7 equal parts. First land belongs to priest and his family who performs the puja at the temple several times a day. The second portion is donated to the man who looks after the administration and maintenance of the temple and also works as an assistant to main priest. He can be from any community. The third portion goes to the person who cleans the temple every day. The fourth part is the person who brings flowers and make garland for the deities. The fifth is for the person who lights lamp of the temple in the name of king. The sixth portion is reserved for the dancers and musicians of the temple who perform their art in front of the god. The seventh and the last is for cooking and distribution of foods to pilgrims. If someone takes over the property and does not do their duty, they must return their property or else be subject to punishment. King Somnayaka has proclaimed, if somebody helps in restoration of this temple in due course of time, then I will be grateful to them, no matter what community they are from, because they would have understood my spirit. I will touch their feet from wherever I am. I pray for such people to increase their population on Mother Earth. While everyone was happy to see the structure, Ajja and Ajji were not. They were really concerned for the lack of water. According to them, a well without a water was a tree without leaves and a sky without sun and a night without the moon and stars. Why was this temple closed? A question echoed from the visitors. Logically, I can tell you why, but I'm not sure if the right example, said Abdul Rashid. The temple and the statues are intact, which means there were no foreign invasion here. I think there was a war at the time. This temple must have been very famous. The king might have been scared that his enemies would destroy the temple, so he covered it up with sand to avoid spoiling the artifacts inside. Cleverly, he covered the top of the well with mud to hide it completely. It was his way of protecting the structure. He must have planned to reopen the temple after his enemies retreated, But maybe that never happened because he lost the battle. Over a period of time, this incident became a story, and as it got passed down from generation to generation, it became less and less accurate. That would explain the different folk stories about the stepwell. What about the water? The source must be really close to this. I believe it should be somewhere near the cow's mouth because here in India we believe that water source of water must be directed in a such way that it flows through a cow. Let's do some work near cow's mouth tomorrow and remove all dirt from the pond. Maybe we can disassemble the cow and we see where the block is. By noon the next day, all women with village were having a pot in hand. They were hopeful about finding the source of water. When Abdul Rashid found a disassembled cow's face, they saw a huge stone kept against an opening, presumably to stop the flow of water. Abdul was right. He explained Somnayaka's architect must have advised him to close the source of water before shutting the well completely. That was very sensible. Without the water, the well became dry and it was easy with them to fill it with sand and mud. The team cleaned the area around the source of water and removed the stone. At first, the water was slow and muddy, but within a few minutes, it became clear. Within a few hours, the water reached the bottom of the step well. One of the women wanted to drink the water and brought the pot immediately to him. Immediately, Ajji said, "Stop! Let's not drink any water before praying to Goddess Ganga, who is the mother of all rivers. Let's thank for her for being here. Give the first glass of water to Rashid Sahib. He has done so much work for our temple." Ajji grabbed a steel tumbler, filled it with water, and offered it to Abdul Rashid. He faced eastward to Makkah, did a quick namaz, and prayed, "O Allah, be merciful on us, on this temple, this people. Let the water here be a source of energy and inspiration. Let it flow in abundance without any constraints." Then he drank the water, and it is said that it is sweet as coconut water. Ajji opened a cane basket lying on the chair by her side. There were many things aside in it: a sari, a blouse, a bangles, flowers, a bowl of kumkum, fruits, a box of mithai, coconut, and ration for one person's lunch. Ration for one person's lunch. She kept the basket in front of the goddess Ganga, touched it to the cow's head, and turned to Rashid. In Karnataka, we call this Mard Bagin. It is given as offering. I take Goddess Ganga's blessing and give it to your wife. This is our tradition and I hope that you will accept it, Rashid Sahib. Abdul Rashid was speechless. He bowed down and humbly took the basket. The next tumbler of water was for Nooni. Suddenly, she was nowhere to be found. Ever since the excavation had been started, she was helping in some way. Everyone was aware that this little girl's strong will that had helped locate the stepwell. Nooni was called and she came running from back of the site. Though the water was neither boiled nor cooled, she drank without hesitation. Shankar Master added, "This pure water is from the spring and passes through the sand, which means the natural filtration had taken place." "Oh, it is sweeter than nectar," Nooni repeated the lines from Ajji's story. Everybody rejoiced, and one by one, all the women took a tumbler of water. That evening, the press was also informed, and soon reporters started coming in. Initially, Abdul Rashid had not entertained them, but now he felt that the time had come for the country to know about their discovery. Hordes of people started interviewing Ajja, Hanume Gouda, Shankar Master, and Abdul Rashid and his team. But nobody forgot little Looney and a band of friends. Every interviewer asked the same question: "What made you boys and girls dig that day?" All the children felt shy and hesitated to answer reporters' question, but not Nooni. She boldly did. "Anyone who loves our village and believed in the existence of same stepwell would have done the same." Acha thought that it was a very diplomatic answer. Shekhar was also interviewed. Within a days, a news of excavation hit the daily newspaper of the state. Lots of photographs appeared in the media. Some enthusiastic volunteer also made a small guidebook for the structure. The Minister of Culture declared, "This is a state heritage site now and there will be a special bus from Bangalore to make it easier for visitors to get there." The news reached Delhi and even the Central Minister of Education showed an interest in giving a stepwell a special grant and allocating a budget. Soon a new sign was painted at the entrance of Somanahali
along with a small write up about Somnaka and his deeds. The sign read, "Please visit the beautiful stepwell architecture of the village." It was a very wonderful time. Last chapter of the book, a send off party. The next day was a Friday and almost the end of Nooni's 10-week holiday. It was going to, her school was to start on Monday. Amit was going to leave in 2 days for Delhi, while Medha and Anand were going to next grade in Varda High School in the village. Mahadeva was also going to start his daily journey to Haveri to continue his studies. It was time to get back to each one's routine. Noni was supposed to leave the village in the afternoon the next day. Her father was coming to pick up her. In the evening, she began gathering her clothes and packing her bags. Ajji was sad. Her granddaughter had stayed with her for 10 long weeks and brought new enthusiasm in their old age. She was going to miss her. Nooni, on other hand, felt like she had learnt a lot. She had made new friends from different backgrounds and their friendship was healthy and uncompetitive. Thanks to her father's dictionary, her Kannada vocabulary was better now. She had learned the joy of making papas, giving water to everyone, and living with nature and fresh air, but she was yet to learn more about birds, trees, plants, and insects. The most important thing of all of them was now she could cycle on her own everywhere. Last but not the least, she was proud of playing a vital role in the excavation of the famous stepwell of Somanahali. Then Ajja had an idea. He decided to honor the 40 volunteers who had worked on the project. Initially, many people had joined the excavation, but the number had slowly dropped because of various reasons. These 40 men and women stayed on till the end. It was easy to honor the head of the institution or the person in charge, but most people forget about those who execute the work. Without their contribution, the whole project would not have worked. Ajja called up his son and said, "Shekhar, when you come tomorrow, please bring 2 baskets of apples and 40 watches, out of which 25 must be for men and 15 for women." "I will do as you wish, but what is going on, Appa?" "I am arranging a send off lunch for everyone involved with the project and I want to give volunteers a token of appreciation too." "Who are you?" Shekhar was surprised. "Who is going to cook?" "Amma, you don't have to worry about logistics. I have already hired 2 cooks from Haveri." "Okay," said Shekhar as he said goodbye and disconnected the call. The next day, the weather was cool and pleasant. It was the end of summer and the beginning of rainy season. There was a huge pandal near the stepwell. The tables were laid and the banana leaves were spread out. The meal was excellent. After lunch, a small stage was set up for Ajja, Hanume Gowda, Abdul Rashid, and Shankar Master. By then, Shekhar had also reached the side and stood at the side. Everyone else sat down in the front of stage. Hanume Gowda began his speech. "Dear fellow villagers, we are very proud that this day has arrived. It has come with the effort of many people." Shankar Master told many potential reasons for the closure of the well, but at the end of the day, one detail remains common. People disrespected the water source. The story of Ratnavati indicates that she swam here and contaminated the water, while the story of Shashi Shekhar says that he had a party here and spoiled the water. And once the water is contaminated and spoiled here, it becomes a heaven for disease. So we must respect the source. "How do we stop contamination from happening?" asked someone from the audience. "On behalf of the Panchayat, we are planning to impose some rules here. We will build another area for people to wash their feet before entering the step well. No one will carry more than 1 pot of water from the well, and it will all be used solely for drinking. No one is allowed to swim or have picnics here, but we will leave it open for activities such as music, dance, and the audience is welcome to sit and watch. Let's not dirty the premises by breaking coconut or leaving the food as an offering to God, which will only lead to crows and insects gathering here. Every day, a priest will come to perform puja, and people are welcome to come and visit the temple." Hanuman Ghoda took a deep breath and continued, "I will arrange an office counter outside. I know that the people like to gift saris, coins, blouses, or bangles to Ganga Mata and throw these things in the water, but it will be forbidden here. Instead, they can deposit their offerings. Then we will hold an annual auction for the offerings such as saris and the money we will receive, and it will be used for the maintenance of the temple. We will not ask the government for money. This is our step well and we should take care of it. Next, Ajja stood up and thanked everyone closely associated with the success of the project. He said firmly, "Let us keep the tradition of keeping the stepwell premises closed twice on month on full moon days. Since all of you have been an integral part of this endeavor, I would like to honor everyone present here. I would like to call these five people on the stage that help us to do that. Nooni, Amit, Anand, Medha, and Mahadeva, please come here." Everyone presently surprised as they clapped with great gusto. It was a joyous occasion. After the volunteers had returned to their seats, Abdul Rashid said, "This is an unusual experience for me. I will try to get funding from the state and central government for a garden and boundary wall surrounding the stepwell." Shankar Master stood up to say a vote of thanks, but Shekhar requested him allowed to speak. Shankar Master nodded and sat down again. Shekhar stood where he was and turned to look at the audience. "I know I'm not on the stage. I have decided to make a 2-day trip to the village every month. Appa can convert one of his house to a small clinic suitable for outpatients and I will give free treatment for everyone. I belong to this village and I must give this to back my people." Then he looked at Mahadeva and said, "I will also provide capital money towards Mahadeva's project, but only after he completes his graduation. He is bright and brave and has been a tremendous source of strength to Nooni during her stay here. Our village needs more people like Hanume Gowda and Mahadeva." Everyone clapped with joy upon hearing Shekhar's plan. After a while, everyone reached to their homes. Once Nooni reached Ajja and Ajji's home, she picked up her bags and Shekhar kept them in the car. Then he turned to his parents and said, "Appa and Amma, I think the wisest decision Usha and I ever made was to send Nooni here. I know she had missed some competitive classes, but I realized that importance of giving one's child the opportunity for overall development. Nooni has taught me that I am privileged to belong to this village." Then he turned to his daughter and said, "Nooni, I was becoming like most parents who want nothing more than their children to perform brilliantly in academics. I had forgotten about how important it is for you to experience all that life has to offer. Today, with all that you have done and learned, I can't feel that you have come first in your class. I can't tell how proud I am of you as my daughter." "I am very happy," said Ajji with a smile on her face. Nooni was able to do what Usha and I couldn't. As Nooni walked out of front door, she saw many villagers gathered around to say goodbye. Somehow she had become a part of their lives. Nooni handed over the gifts her mother had brought from Delhi to Medha, Amit, Mahadeva. She gave 2 crosses kits to Medha. Medha also gave her a purse that she herself had knitted. Quietly she said, "Nooni, I have made this for you. Think of me whenever you use this purse." Aji asked Mahadeva to put a big bag of papads, bottles of pickles, heaps of laddus and bunches of bananas in the car. Then she told her son, "These papads were rolled by me, but some were baked and washed over by Nooni, so they are hers. She was my right hand during the kitchen, and as I made the mango pickle, I will really miss her." Then Ajji gave Nooni a traditional pearl necklace and said, "This is my gift to you. When I was your age, my grandmother handed this down to me, and I want you to have it and treasure it. It's your to keep forever." Noni put her arm around Ajji and whispered in her ear, "I'm happy about the gift, but really what I want is a toilet near the Varda river and Varda hill. Children like me visit these places and often, and it is very sad that there are no toilets for them." Ajji laughed loudly. "You don't have to whisper, Nuni. I will consider this as my next task and ensure that our entire village takes responsibility for it. By the time you visit us next, we will have few toilets in both areas. I promise." Noni hugged Ajji. She looked at her face and saw the tears in her eyes. Noni said, "Don't worry, Ajji. I will come here every year. I like to spend my holidays with you." Ajja, however, did not say much. He was very proud of his granddaughter's achievement. Gently, he placed his hands on her head and patted her. So, friends, this was one of the best book of Sudha Murthy, The Magic of the Lost Temple. If you want to hear such type of books and you want more audiobooks, don't forget to like, share and subscribe these videos. Also, you can comment on my videos that which audiobooks you want. Thank you, have a nice day and happy learning and happy reading. Goodbye.